Welcome into the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show built by TSpark Enterprises. The juice is gone, everybody. The juice is gone. The glass, we were arguing for weeks about half full, half empty. Where is it? The glass contains nothing at this point. It's shattered. It's on the ground. Florida State loses 3 in a row. And if the stands, the folks in the stands at Doak Campbell Stadium are any indication as to where confidence lies within this fan base about the coaching staff and the direction of Florida State football, Gene Williams, founder, administrator of Warchant.com, confidence is gone. It's amazing how last year Mike Norvell, this coaching staff, Florida State, was able to take all of the equity built in a 13-0 run and a snub, spend it all, and send its credit report into oblivion. And then, after all the work and the heavy lifting they did in the offseason, bringing in new coordinators, setting a new direction for this program, setting a new course, starting with a major win over Alabama, getting equity back. And, Gene, in the matter of 3 weeks, they spent it all again. Here we are. Good afternoon, sir. How has your afternoon been?
It was splendid, Tom. How was yours? It was disgusting. I mean, I've not seen a team regress. I mean, one of the comments I remember at that Alabama game, Tom, we talked about how surprised we were at how buttoned up they were, how sharp they were, with a new coaching staff, all these new players, and it's gotten progressively worse, after those 2 warm-up games. It's unbelievable. Does Norvell want to get fired? What's going on? I mean, to me, look, it was a bad first half. You got pushed around a lot, but you're up a touchdown, and you're getting the ball at the second half. You go in at halftime. You're supposed to make adjustments. You figure, okay, it's going to be okay. Florida State, to me, that's all on coaching the second half, that they dominated you in the second half. Your first 5 drives, 3 3-and-outs, a fumble, and a field goal. And you're going against a mediocre defensive team. You're at home, and you have the whole first half film to look at and halftime to heal up. I get it. You're down a bunch of receivers. Your tight end was out. You didn't have all your tools out there. But just they kept shooting themselves in the foot over and over again. And I was making excuses. I really thought, look, the Virginia game was flukish. I thought they should have won that game. Some weird crap happened during the game. Miami clearly was just a better team. They really were player for player. They had, they made a run of it a little bit there late. So, you're going to get Pitt. You're a double-digit point favorite. You should get back on, your wheels under you and roll over these guys. And just that performance was pathetic. And this is reminiscent of what we saw last season, Tom. So ultimately, it has to come back to a coaching staff because that same head coach was there last year.
Yeah, I think, the Virginia game, there are circumstances there that you can easily explain. Miami, you're right. They're the better football team. You should have been closer at half, but Miami was the better football team. But the problem is, Gene, that those losses take a toll. They have a real impact on confidence week to week, where your head's at. How's your mental between the week, whether it's a defensive player or an offensive
player? Yeah, but that's the coaches have to get their minds right.
Absolutely, and that's why they're paid gobs of money. But it does take a toll, and that's why the circumstances around this game, we talked about it a lot this week on our various shows, it's a sleepy nooner. It's against a Pitt team that's hungry. They're not going to bail you out with the style that they play. They feel confident in the quarterback that they just found. The only thing that you had going for you was it was here and it was at home, and you felt like you might have weathered it at halftime because, let's face it, that last touchdown's a prayer. It's answered. But you say, okay, everybody settle down. It's 21-14. There's 6 seconds to go. They can't do anything, even though they wanted to play for 10 more minutes because their coach made decisions like an asshole. Sorry, that's my one for today.
Which is stupid because you got the ball at midfield because of that idiotic thing, and FSU didn't take advantage.
And there it is. And therein lies the game. They gifted you because their coach committed hubris with a second left. They gifted you field position because they were stupid. And that drive to start the second half goes 3 and out. And the next thing you know, they're in the ball game. It's a tie game, and it feels like even when it's tied that you're not winning the ball game. It feels like you're losing on the scoreboard, and that's what this whole momentum of losing multiple games in a row can do to you from a confidence standpoint. I think there's something in the ACC charter, Gene, that says that Florida State cannot have healthy receivers against Pitt because if you think of the last 2 games.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I had nobody up there in that building. But that would be reason 5. On defense, you don't have a pass rush. You don't have linebackers who can cover guys one-on-one, which is really problematic because you need to send extra players to create a pass rush, which means that those linebackers are going to be on one-on-ones and covering guys in space, which they can't do. So you got yourself a paradox of suck there with your front group. And then you have tentative play at safety. You have uneven play at corner. I honestly think Jabril Rawls might have been the best player on the field today. Jabril played very, very well, I thought, for the bulk of today's game. But that's your problem on defense. So you don't have the personnel, and you're working between a rock and a hard place if you're Tony. On offense, I don't know, Gene. They had 100 yards before that last shot played to Mekhi Danzy. It was just flat as a pancake. You're telling me that the throw to Lawayne McCoy, that's the drive starter when you're down 10, couldn't have been found at any other point in the second half? You had to wait till you're down 10 before you could complete a forward pass? It's a tough place to be for Florida State, and this is the hard part now, is we are documenting what feels like the beginning of the end game for Mike Norvell as Florida State falls to 0-3 in the ACC, and it's just impossible to ignore. We can talk about it as a staff and say, well, we'll see what the buyout implications are. Gene, fan appreciation and intensity and investment, it all matters in this sport more than any other. You have to fund the operation as a fan. People were walking out. They were done today, and you see what's going on in the chat, and I don't think that's reactionary nonsense. I think it's a fair take. People are saying, year 6, where are the dividends here?
Yeah, no, and they're right. And that's why I said this was kind of the watermark game, and I wrote about this on a Renegade Room before, that this is one of the most important games for Mike Norvell's career. He could not lose this game. You mentioned the 0-3 in the ACC. They're 0 in their last 8. They haven't won an ACC game since last September. You can't keep ignoring these numbers as they pile up through season after season. There's something fundamentally, systemically wrong with this program right now, and it has to fall on the head coach who's making a ton of money. You mentioned a couple things going back to the defense. What I found, I want to get your take on this, Tom. They made that quarterback look like Michael Vick at times. He is not the most he's a little, he's got a little wiggle to him. How many times do we have a guy rush in, had him dead to rights, they ran right by him? That last long play they had when they fumbled, of course the ball bounces right to him because it always does every time against Florida State. I don't know what, somebody just decided to jump straight up in the air, and he just ran right by him. It's just mind-boggling why we can't have a player just play contained. So what? You make them throw the ball away. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to get a highlight sack. I get it. But, I mean, he did that over and over all game in the middle of the field, Tom. There was that one play late in the game. We had 7 guys in coverage, and there was one guy in a route in the middle of the field all by himself. And they're all around him. I don't get it. Again, that has to go back to coaching. The coverage got even worse into the second half. So I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I think you're between a rock and a hard place again, because you don't believe your guys can cover one-on-one. So now you have to play coverage, but he's only rushing 3 in one of those circumstances. You're like, well, I mean, so you're going to die by 1,000 paper cuts. You're going to die by a shot down the field. No matter what, you're staring death in the face here. I took a lot of notes in the first half because I figured the second half was going to take on a life of its own. But here's what I got, Gene. It's no particular order. Tentative linebacker player, not good enough at linebacker. First drive of their game where they achieve 3 fourth down
conversions.
The key is the 3rd and long before their last 4th down conversion. So they call speed option. It's a fumble. Of course, you don't land on that ball either because we don't ever recover fumbles at Florida State University. And they've got 3rd and long, and it's a one-on-one play for Elijah Herring against the running back. He can't make it. They get in 4th and short, and they convert from there. He was removed for the game at some point. I know he came back in.
For the wheel route he came back for.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, which is something that's most certainly on film because he got bid on it against Virginia. He's got bad eyes. His eyes are in the backfield. Good point. I got that right here in the notes. Earl looks like he's in between. His confidence, his shot. The Virginia game was the beginning of that. The Miami was the continuation, and now we're into something with consistency there. Tommy Castellanos is Tommy Castellanos. One way or the other, you're going to get plays that you never dreamed possible, and then you're going to miss plays that you never dreamed that you could possibly miss. I thought his best throws today, not that it friggin' matters now, but the touchdown to Danzy was his 2nd touchdown of the day, the 2nd touchdown for the team. What a throw. The throw before that was really important. It was front shoulder to Sawchuk on the left side. It kept him in motion, something that we didn't see last week on swing passes. But, I mean, you got awful, awful play calls here as well. Certain circumstances. This is Gus's worst day, I think. And a 3rd down before you kick your field goal. Here's something that Tommy, if there's a read option, this is to put us up 24-21. If it's a read option, this is worse than his interception against Miami, the one that he just chucked up into the end zone. You have a touchdown. I don't know if it's a called read option, but he's got a lead blocker to the right. There's nobody there. I don't know what he was looking at or if it was a called straight run. I doubt Gus will answer that, but you're going to see that crop up on Twitter over the next couple of days as people look at film in all 22s. This is what happens when you lose 3 games in a row. Everybody gets very angry about every little detail, but, Gene, they're not wrong. Y'all are not wrong out there in the chat, and we're going to listen to you on the phones today. This is your time to vent. And I'm so sorry that we have to do this freaking again because we're 0-3 in the ACC
Yeah,
again.
I thought we were done with this nonsense.
Oh, man, this is gasoline on the fire, man. This is unbelievable.
It is crazy. I don't know what else to add to what you said, Tom. I'm shocked. I didn't see this one. I mean, I thought going to Virginia, we had an uneasy feeling because it's a weeknight game on the road in the ACC against an experienced quarterback. Miami, we knew what was going on there. Look, I get they were spent against Miami emotionally and all that. They were all my buddies I'm watching the game, they're flat. They just said there's nothing in this game. They were so flat. And I'm sure that's for the Miami game. And I get it. But it goes back to the coaching staff. Look, your back's against the wall. You can't come out of this game flat. You're at home, you're a double-digit favorite. You cannot let them walk all over you, and that's exactly what they did. It's just, again, disgusting.
We're so sorry, TSpark Enterprises. Y'all are great. We love your sponsorship. We appreciate you for supporting us through the good times and the many, many bad times that you've been here to help document. We hope you get a kick out of that particular sentiment, but we do have to mention our fine sponsor. They got a new service at TSpark Enterprises. If you've got an outdated bath or shower and you now are thinking about things like chores and remodels on your weekends, understood. Whether it's your home or your business, TSpark delivers fast, pro-level bath and shower remodels, and it could be in as little as a day. No fumbles, just top-quality work and a clean finish. Ready for a game-changing refresh? TSparkConstruction.com for a game-changing refresh. TSpark Construction, we conquer all peaks. Let's get to some contributions first for some conversation starters. Not that we need them today, but I think everybody feels the same. Some combination of apathetic and furious.
We're here for you. You need it. Look, we're going to commiserate that we're here for you guys. Go ahead and vent. Let's get it off our chest. We all are frustrated as hell, so let's do it.
Let's see what we got here. First up, it's Johnny Zeno Bringardner. We have become the FSU of the ACC. 2-10 last year, 0-3 in ACC this year. Offensive line blocks like a sieve. Quarterback can't find open receivers with a Geiger counter. Linebackers can't track. Defensive line can't get a stop. Norvell, time to take the Xmas tree, the Christmas tree, out on the curb. We thank you very much, Zeno. I believe he speaks for a lot of people right now. Next up, we have contribution-wise, Florida Man in Alabama. What's good, brother? Just confirms the potential back in July. Rebuild year, 6-6, maybe. Bama got our hopes up. Chroma and Deuce will be happy in the SEC, though. Oh, boy. Hashtag. I got to tell you, the first play of that third quarter, it's a 2nd and 9. This is where Chroma giveth and Chroma taketh away. Gene, you're a big-time fantasy football player. You have been for years. I know you might have had Le'Veon Bell on a team or two of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Le'Veon was one of the most patient backs in football. Yep. He'd wait and wait, and sometimes you'd say, will you just hit the damn thing up the middle? And Chroma, I'm not blaming the first drive on him, but it's 2nd and 9. That's got to be 2nd and 6. Just straight ahead, my man. Straight ahead. And then
I remember that. Yeah, I said the same thing to my players when he bounced at the outside. I'm like, you got a little bit of a gap. Look, you're going to get tackled, but you're going to get 3 more yards. What are we doing here?
Yeah, there's another run to the left.
Well, that's a freshman. That's a freshman running back mistake.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, not pinning the game on him. It's just that he giveth and he taketh away, because he had a cutback later in the third quarter. We're like, oh, my God, that is why he's paid a lot of money. And then there was a third run in which he probably should score if he wasn't tentative. But that's his style. And then the next 2 plays were a disaster.
Well, at least people won't be calling for Keziah Home to get more carries.
Damn it. Now that hurts my soul. Did you have to fumble today, Keziah? I've been on the Keziah train. He looked phenomenally consistent today. And it's gone. And the fumble's on the ground. And you know what, Gene? If a fumble's on the ground, somebody else is picking it up.
Oh, always.
It could be the other team. It could be the sideline. It could be an official, an opposing coach, a mascot.
I need to see a stat for that. Florida State has to be last in college football in fumbles not recovered.
At some point, it's not fumble luck anymore. It's just fumble truth. And
sometimes the ball does take some crazy-ass bounces. It is. That last fumble, come on, man.
Well, we got a couple of gifts today, too, including like a fair catch at the 2-yard line and an interception in the end zone. Like Pitt made.
Oh, and how about the penalty on the fake punt?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I almost wish, just because Mike Norvell would have gotten more crap for making that call. It was so bad.
Gene, I feel like only Sawchuck and the long snapper where the guys knew it was a fake punt. Like, there was like 6 dudes ready to tackle him. That was insane. Also, the whistle did us a favor. That was an early delay of game. They blew that play dead with like 1 second to go.
No, any chance to screw us. They thought they were screwing us, but they were helping us. We got on the ACC officiating later. I mean, that grounding call was one of the most ridiculous things. And listening to the replay and listening to the replay of this thing, I'm like, what are you? Oh, you agree? Oh, it's clear. I'm like, what?
That was
What are you seeing?
Like, Gene, if they were spotting the ball because the ball carrier had it, they would have said he didn't make the line to gain. So how's the? Yeah, that one's goofy. It's just a nice little garnish on a cocktail.
I gotta get rant too. And the stranglehold on Deuce. I mean, it wasn't just for a second he had him on the third. He drove him down the field, strangling him. And the official is right there. It is, and that went on and on and on.
Yeah.
He does a tiny little slap, but then Pitt slaps him back.
Yep. Yeah.
And Deuce gets the call, and there's nothing on Pitt.
Well,
you want to tell me the ACC is not biased against FSU? You're smoking something.
Well, and of course, we send our best wishes to the Robinson family because they're close to us, especially here at Warchant TV. So hopefully Deuce is okay.
Yeah, hopefully he's feeling better.
It looked like he landed on the football wrong, but clearly that wasn't what it was because he couldn't come back.
I thought maybe he just knocked the breath out of him. I thought maybe that happened, but I guess it was more than that.
Yeah, I don't think he ever emerged from the locker room in the second half.
I didn't see him come in the second half.
Yeah, so that's something we'll keep our eye on. Again, Florida State and Pitt not allowed to have pass-catching targets. Not that it mattered in the second half anyway because we rejected the idea of this thing called the forward pass. Another contribution. Let's see who is next. Who can we thank? Oh, No Kev. What's up, No Kev? I defended Mike since he was hired through it all. I like Mike. He's a good guy, but I think it is time. We could nitpick this to take some positive away. 3-2 Pitt with a freshman quarterback coming in and beating you. Guys, It's time. Yeah, that's the sentiment of so many in the fan base. Thank you, No Kev. We appreciate it. Always a great contributor, whether it's through that or just a comment in the chat. Next up, let's go through a couple more. Angela, what's up, Angela? How you doing? You're always positive. Even runner Angela can't stay positive at this.
Wow.
Go Noles. Yeah. If Angela is off you, that's a bad sign for Mike Norvell.
Now Norvell's nervous. Until that, he was like, I'm okay. Uh-oh.
What's next? Yuckmouth is going to be negative. Noel Sage pisses me off. Defensively can't get critical stops. Offensively, they wait till the game is damn near over to give a damn. You can't tell me those passes that were completed late weren't there all day. Yeah, that one to McCoy to start the 10-point. That felt like a personal insult. Hey, thanks, Gus. Appreciate that. I don't think Gus has had a bad day until today. Today was a stinker, though.
Yeah, the second half, yeah.
Yeah, and we can get into the whys later. Two more, and then we'll go to the phone lines. Here we go. Mark, time to move on. It's a wrap for Mike. I wanted it to be Mike so bad, but he's done. Don't see him surviving this, and I'm okay with that. Mark, was great to meet you last week at Hotel Indigo. Appreciate the contribution. Let's see. Next up will be Caked Terrible. I've supported Mike. Yeah, this is going to be the theme today. I've supported Mike through thick and thin, but it's time to move on. If FSU is going to be a top program again, it sure isn't going to be with Mike. Sad to say, but it's the truth. 5-7 at best. I don't know about that last part, but then again, you could be absolutely right, Cake.
Yeah.
This is the thing, Gene. You don't have people who said, I've always hated Mike. This was a dumb hire from the start. You've got a lot of people who are putting in contributions here that are saying, I gave him every possible chance, and now his chance.
I'm kind of in that boat, too. I think I was behind him and just chalked last year up to being weird and everything else, but it's really hard to excuse this one away.
It certainly is. But one thing that we're going to hear now is the thoughts of those who have taken the time to call in. And Nate was ready. Nate in Texas was ready to go. As we were going through our sound check, he was already there. He was waiting. So, Nate in Texas, you are first up here on the postgame show. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I jumped on the phone as soon as, like, the third time Blake Nicholson got burned over the middle. Look, Tom, we've talked about it in the past. You've touched on it already. I don't understand how in the year 2025, in the year of our Lord, we can't recruit linebackers that can move left and right. Like, I mean, I feel like our linebackers would have been good in 2005, 2006, but in this type of football, like if your linebackers can't cover, they're not linebackers. Like, they can't play here. So I don't know if it's more of Mike just can't get the guys in, or is it schematic, or I mean that's just my biggest pet peeve. I mean, if our linebackers were just like a step faster, we probably could have won the game. But it's like you're putting AJ Cottrell and Nicholson trying to cover Reed, who runs like a 4-3. It's not going to happen. They're going to get burned every time. So I don't know if you think there's something that they could like put a big safety there as a spy, or what we could do like going forward. But or if it's just like we just don't have the guys for it. But you know, I'll hang up and listen to you guys. But have a good Saturday.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate
Thanks, Nate.
it. And if that was the third time that happened to Blake, that must have been you called in the first quarter. The thing I'd say is if you were in coverage and in zone, I don't think it's all that bad. But the problem is, I said in the beginning, Gene, if you're going to have to bring extra rushers because you can't generate a pass rush, even with 4, like you can't consistently do that when they line it with 4 guys, then these linebackers are in isolation, and we already know that they can't cover it, man. Like even Herring, when he was brought in, and he was one of the big gets in the offseason, you thought we were going to be running Tony White's zone-based scheme. But if you saw, a lot of those breakdowns today were man-on-man because Florida State is bringing extra pressure because they're forced to, because the Pitt offensive line is able to hold up against Florida State even when you're going neutral numbers with a 4-man rush. I think that's part of it. What do you see out there, Gene?
Yeah, same thing we saw against Virginia that, like you said, they could not get the rush, bringing 3 or 4. A lot of times I was not happy with them bringing 3 either. That was just when he just sat back there all day. Well, it goes back to Virginia again. Remember all the crossing routes they did on short? Every time they needed a few yards, they do those plays and they'd isolate the linebackers. I think it's a talent thing, to Nate's question. I think you don't have the talent at the linebacker position. It goes back to recruiting. It goes back to portal. You got a couple guys that are okay in certain situations, but I mean, they boost linebackers. Speaking of Nicholson, and some of them missed several opportunities at the quarterback too because they overran plays, they didn't contain. I mean, they're very weak, and I think it's, I'm sure there's some scheme issues there. You've got to scheme around it to some extent, but I just think you really lack talent, and teams are seeing that on film and taking full advantage of it, as we saw today.
Yeah, so there's one instance, and this isn't all on Blake because we just talked about they pulled Elijah Herring off the field because of he couldn't handle some of these situations. But, there's a time when Pitt is operating out of its own end zone on a 3rd down, and Blake is there designed as a spy. Like, we all have been calling for a spy.
Oh, that play. Oh, my God.
Here it is. And he
exactly
gets lost. He gets lost. Defense is left. Offense is right.
He just decides to run to the left into a pile.
Buddy, it's 3rd and long. If you just sag back a little bit, sag back at like 4 or 5 yards depth, he's not going to be able to flush and pick up a first down. That was off of, I think, the fair catch of the 2-yard line. What was that series of plays?
You would have pinned it and putting out of their end zone.
Yeah. So, it's personnel driven. And then to the question about could they get a safety in there? I mean, I don't know that they can cover either. I like what I see out of Ashland Barker, but you got less than 0 confidence from Earl Little right now. He made a couple of good plays, but you just
there's
don't.
There's a real fun. I think what happened early on, I think you had a quarterback against Alabama who's a little shell-shocked this first game, and I don't think they had film. They didn't really know what to do against FSU defensively. The book's out right now. Everybody knows after the Virginia game, they know to pick on those linebackers and get them isolated. It doesn't seem to matter whether you do zone or man, Tom. They can't. They're lost out there, and I don't know how you stop it.
This is where, it's the paradox of suck. It's the yin-yang of suck. I can't get a pass rush without bringing extra guys. But if I bring extra guys, the guys I leave back are in man-to-man coverage, and I already know that those guys can't cover man-to-man. So you got a real problem there.
Yeah, not making excuses, but I saw they had number 53 in their offensive line. I think he literally held every single play. Yeah. I mean, you watch this; he's got 2 hands holding him every play. They called one holding on them all. It was at half when the game it was like a meaningless one, so they threw it out to say, "Oh yeah, we called a hold on them," but it was completely meaningless. They literally had a dozen holds. Same thing against Virginia. They refused to call hold all the time. And again, I'm not making excuses. The defense sucked, but I think the ACC officiating was even worse.
Well, Florida State stood to benefit from that series of stuff, but can we go to halftime? There's no time on the clock. You put a second back? Like, are you kidding? Like, you even saw Mike's expression as he had the team in the halftime huddle. And they're like, and then the referee calls out on the microphone, bring him back. Pitt's in the tunnel. God, this one checked a lot of those bingo card boxes for ACC Saturday.
Yes.
And unfortunately for Florida State, that includes losing because that's what conference-wise Florida State's done ever since winning the ACC championship, which feels like a lifetime ago in Charlotte.
Wow. They've
won 1 conference game since that point.
Barely beaten Cal at one time. And you're right. Other than that, their last win was that ACC championship game. That's unbelievable.
Yikes indeed. All right, Marlon in Miami. Again, it was a pleasure meeting you last week. Welcome to the program. Thank you for your patience, and go straight ahead.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing? We finally won the turnover battle, but we lost it at the same time because our turnover was at a crucial moment of the game. And I just want to ask you guys, where do we have 3 games to win in this season? Because I don't see it. I do not see it. I looked at the schedule. I do not see 3 more wins. And does that finishes Mike that we can't be bowl eligible?
Oh, I don't think there's any question, Marlon.
If they only win 2 more games, I think that's. I mean, let's go through the schedule. Can we pop it up here? What are we thinking now? Because Marlon brought up a good point. We can pop that up.
Yep, give me one moment.
So let's look at this. I'll start. Stanford. Stanford's bad. I do think, I know it's, typical ACC making it 10:30 at night. No one on the West Coast is watching, but sure, screw FSU. But I think they win that. And I think they beat Wake. The issue is going to be those final 5 games to me.
Yeah, you're looking.
Right?
I think nobody wants to hear this right now, and I'm not going to make it about this because Florida State was bad today. So please, everybody, take me at what I'm trying to say here. I think Pitt's actually a pretty good football team. That doesn't mean that they're top 15 or top 10. I think they're actually.
I think it's fair to say they're decent. They're a decent team.
The problem for Florida State is Florida State's a good football team in theory, but now their confidence is totally shot, and now there's a couple of books and some things. I think they're by good, I mean good enough to beat Stanford, good enough to beat Wake, good enough to beat
maybe
Virginia
Tech. So I'm saying if nothing really fundamentally changes, I think 6-6 is very much.
Well, and then you could have the Who Wants It Bowl because if Clemson's capable of getting smoked by Syracuse at home, that could be an all-time ugly one. You could have both fans in the stands yelling for their coaches to be fired in the Florida State-Clemson game on November 8th. I think you got 3 potential dubs in there.
So that's what I'm saying. 6-6. If you're in Vegas setting the line, you're sitting at what, 6.5 right now?
It could very well be. I think 6.5 is probably fair. I mean, look, Gene, last week you had a team travel to the West Coast in Penn State. They went and played UCLA. They clearly weren't interested in getting on that plane after losing to Oregon. And it was 24-7 before you know it. Now, they made a rally, but UCLA held on. And next thing you know, strange stuff happens. So my question this week, while I think Florida State should absolutely beat Stanford, and we're going to be doing a watch-along for that, bring your beverages, everybody. It's a 10:30 start. No post-game. It's a watch-along for Stanford.
Yeah, we're not going to be up till 3:30 a.m. Sorry, guys.
No. But what's the group like on the plane across this country as they're flying? Are they invested?
Yeah, well, we saw that last year. It was all they just kind of, I think after that first game or two, they just kind of cashed it in. So give me my NIL check. I'm done. Yep. Will they be like that at this point? I mean, the coaches have to get these guys back on point. And yeah, you're right. It could be, we will see if they go out there and lose to Stanford, then you need to file Mike in season because they've given up. They've quit on the coach at that point. And I'm never an advocate of doing that. But when a team quits on their coaching staff, that's when it gets really bad. I don't know if they've quit. I just think they came out flat and they were out coached in this game.
Well, sequencing matters here too. We said in the preseason, I think all of our prognostications on staff were somewhere between 7-5 and 9-3, for the season's record. But when you beat Alabama, expectations completely change and sequencing matters. If you had lost to Bama, beat Virginia, and you wouldn't love the loss today, but you'd feel a little bit differently than beating Alabama, smoking the next 2 teams and showing a little bit more maturity in those circumstances. When you lose 3 in a row like this, and Mike has now done that, is it every year but one in his tenure here, losing 3 games in a row?
Yeah, because even the year they were good, remember they had that little losing streak in the middle of the year. I think it was 3 games.
It was 3 games in a row. Like, sequencing matters greatly because, Gene, people need to care. You know this so very well. Whether you're a booster, like not even the kind of booster that has a tag on the back of their car, the kind that got dropped off in a helicopter today. Like the helicopter kept coming back and forth outside of Toke, and it clearly looked like it was taxiing people in. Like that person needs to be interested. And when you lose 3 games in a row like this, that's a phone call or a meeting that the athletic director has to take, Gene. And I just wonder where those people's heads are at.
Yeah, you're going to see it's going to be ugly, assuming things go as we expect the next. I don't have a home game for the Wake Forest game. I mean, this fancy new stadium that looks great. You're there. It looks good. It looks great on TV. I think it'd be half full. They'd probably give us another sleepy nooner for Wake. And, and then you're starting, it comes down to money, and you're going to need a lot of money because if it goes the way we think, you might have to pay a lot of money. It's around 50 million, right now. Can they even afford? I mean, what do you do? But I mean, I think you have to pay it because what's the alternative?
Yeah. It's right now the immediate alternative is a sleepy 10:30 kick. We always had sleepy nooners, but now it's
sleepy the other way.
Sleepy the other way, 10:30 kick.
See, I'm wearing the Lucky Goat. I'm going to need some Lucky Goat to keep my ass awake that night for this Boar Fest.
You know what? That's probably something we can do some product placement next week. I'll tell everybody about Lucky Goat in a little bit. But if you guys are worried about suite renewals next year at Florida State, we'll happily let's see which game. The Virginia Tech game. We'll do the post-game show from inside a suite if you want us to help you.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Because right now I feel so bad for that ticket office. They do the same thing we do after a loss. They're like, oh God, we've got to address this, and they've got to make their phone calls.
And all the poor booster reps getting all those angry calls right now. Oh.
Here we go, Eric. Keep it clean. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. You get a chance.
Has he got 2 strikes or 1 so far? I've lost track.
No, I'm putting a preemptive strike here. Eric, if you want this to be your last call of the season, then go ahead and go all out. But keep it clean. You're outside of the stadium. Let's go. Hopefully the cell service works. Eric Angel, welcome to the program.
Tom, gee, what's going on?
Wow, he seems happy.
You seem enthusiastic, Eric. How are you?
Not bad. I'm outside of Hotel Indigo. I just ran into Jeff and his dad a few minutes ago.
How did that go?
It was all right. I told Jeff, I said, Mike Norvell, he needs to go, man. I'm sorry. Today was his happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, Mike. But you need to go, dude. You're not for us, man. And plus the refs, they were terrible. I'm going to keep it clean, Tom and Gene. I love you guys. But it is what it is. I don't know where we go from here. I can only think positive about our football program, but it's not looking good, man. And Tony White, I mean, this 3-3-5, what in the world are we doing? Blake Nicholson, he looked like a lost puppy out there as a linebacker. He didn't even do anything. So it is what it is, but go Noles, man. I love you guys. Go Warchant. Hit the thumbs up button. Support Warchant, whatever you can do. Let's hope we go out to midnight in Stanford and beat Stanford.
There you go. Thanks, Eric.
Good call. Very reasonable call from Eric. I guess the noon games are a little different.
I think you know what. Yep. Read my mind, Director Nick. He gets a round of applause. He gets a strike back. He earned
nice.
Well, excellent restraint from Eric there. Let's see a couple more contributions before we go back to the phone lines. Who do we got here up next? Big Noles guy. I'll take you at your word. Let's have a moment of silence for Mike's time at FSU. R.I.P. Thank you, Big Noles guy. There's your moment of silence. Jake says, stop complaining about the refs. You should have beat them. But God, dog it, Jake.
Nobody. Jay, I get it, Jake. We can complain about them. No one is blaming them. FSU lost this game. Pitt beat them. No one's saying they cost the game. They were still inept, incompetent, biased, and crooked, in my opinion.
Yep, there you go. Stop cherry picking. Next, who do we got? Thank you for the contribution, though. Bill, we're going to go with Bill. Norvell knew he had no pass rushers and bad linebackers last season and did nothing to address it. He has to go. Personnel, hey, any personnel criticisms, 150,000%. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate you and supporting us. We really do appreciate that. One more. Let's see. Noel. We'll go. We just let a freshman quarterback come into Doak and look very comfortable despite throwing 2 interceptions. Our teams look unprepared and are very undisciplined, and we don't recruit well. It's time to let Mike go. Yeah, one thing we got away with here, Gene, today was a block punt. And Florida State loves to rave about special teams. Had a punt block today. Got bailed out that they didn't score because the quarterback did throw that interception into the end zone. And then also, once again, playing the hits, you've got a punt to Jalen Lucas that he's under, and then he's scared of, and he runs away from it, he points at, and it hits the ground. Now, Florida State got lucky with that bounce. It hit the turf and bounced neutrally, which is nice to see. But you can list a lot of things you can be pissed off today about. Special teams was a disaster, and that's with a block punt that didn't end up with any points against and a delay of game on a fake punt that would have gone absolutely nowhere. And I think people would have thrown crap on the field if that play ran live, Gene, because it
was so ugly.
Because Pitt's going to score a touchdown right on the back of that if it is blown up in the backfield. And that's the kind of thing that evokes a lot of emotion in the stands where a fan base turns against a coach. I think he got kind of quasi-bailed out by the officials there, even from a Doak Campbell Stadium morale standpoint. That could have gotten really ugly. But special teams looks rubbish again.
It's been they didn't muff a punt this time. So I mean, there's something. Although I guess how many times did Pitt actually punt? Once or twice. Right. So it's fewer opportunities for that. So there's something there. No, it's been
twice.
It's two. Okay, twice. And one of them they didn't field. I remember the ball bounced around. It's been.
He's under it. He has a chance to field it, and he backs away.
They got a lucky bounce on that. Yeah.
We teach cowardly football when it comes to punt returns. That's what we must do. We teach cowardly football. It's insane.
Well, I've been out there before. I don't know if they still do it, but David Johnson gets out there with a squirt gun on guys, and obviously that does not work at all. Squirting the punt returners, they got to come up with something new.
Is it the Scarecrow's fear spray from Batman? Like I don't know if that's water. Let's see. Let's go to Gene in Ocala. Gene in Ocala, help me, man. You usually find the silver lining. What you got?
What's going on there, T. Lizzie and Gino?
Hi, Gene. How you doing?
Gene.
Hey, it's it's tough to swallow. It's tough to swallow to see this team do this year in and year out. The thing that really gets you down is just, it kind of reminded me of the 2000 national championship game. You're just throwing dinks and dunks whenever you don't have your top wide receiver. And then all of a sudden, just like whenever Anquan caught that ball in the fourth quarter, now you want to throw it to Danzy after he runs a post. And clearly, those are things that you got to soften that defense up. You got to spread them out. It's just, today was, I think Tom said it best. Today was a day that you like, wow, Gus, we didn't need this effort from you today. This was something that we wanted you to scheme up. We wanted you to have all the flashy and the movement and everything that you bring to the table. And today you wanted him to just empty the cupboard, and we kept waiting on it, and it never did happen until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's just it's one of those things to where we want to be upset. We want to get down because you know what's going to come next. I'm opening up my recruitment again. Now we got to see all these little posts. And, Mario Cristobal said last week, remember, we run the state. So any recruits that's in the state of Florida, backed up by money. And let's just look at this for what it is. You don't really have a strong recruiting class that says, I want to come to Florida State because I bleed garnet and gold. I'm coming to Florida State because you're going to pay me to come to Florida State. And whenever you don't have the heart after that, just like the last sequence when Daryl jumps off sides and it is what it is, that's going to be the rest of the season, I think, is that, well, I've already got paid. So, hey, man, it is what it is. I love this university. I love what you guys do. Thank you for what you do. It's always go Noles, but where is the funding going to come to get rid of $60 million worth of coaches? And we got to wait 2 years for it to bottom all the way out. We cannot go through this every 5 years, every 6 years. Go Noles. Thank y'all for what y'all do. I just and one quick thing. Tom, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
You talked about Yak. Can he not tell these running backs to cover the ball? Can he not tell these running backs to, whenever you come close to contact or you're running into traffic, wrap this ball up? I mean, squeeze it. 3 points of contact. Thank y'all for what you do. Thank you, Gene, for the stellar staff that you put together. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday. Go Noles, and let's do this thing, baby. Bye.
Thanks, Gene.
Appreciate you. Hopefully it's not him signing off for the season. I almost felt like he's like, I'm going to take a break now.
Out.
Yeah, there's a whole lot there, and I agree with a lot of what Gene said. The one thing I would tell you, Gene Williams, is in watching the Louisville Pitt game, Louisville had real problems with the Pitt defense early, but they adjusted, and one thing that they adjusted to were quick passes. And I'm not talking about slants. I'm talking about it's hitches, 3 steps, turnaround, and give the quarterback something, because Pitt will consistently bring pressure. And that got Louisville going, and they just ran it over and over and over again because Pitt will be extremely aggressive. That is in their nature. There's so many long developing pass routes down the field for Gus today. That was the thing that disappointed me so much, beyond the idea that, once your receivers are hurt, you still can't throw a pass downfield. I get it. There's a play where Elijah Moore is signaled to from Tommy Castellanos, and they almost called intentional grounding, but they didn't. It was in the red zone area. And Tommy signals to him to change the route, and Elijah doesn't see it. And Tommy didn't make sure. All snapped, and Elijah goes in on a post. He throws it to the right. There's nobody there. So that's a receiver missing a signal. I can understand trepidation for moments like that, but there was no forward pass until the final touchdown drive of the game.
Yeah.
That is crazy to me, Gene.
I thought about the two part. I get you want to run the ball, and Gus is all about running the ball. And that one drive, I mean, the one drive where you got the field goal and then the fumble drive, it was all run. But at some point you've got to mix some things up, and it wasn't even with Tommy running. And I still think there may be something wrong with him. I don't know if he was beat up after the Miami game, but they rarely called a run play for him. And when they did, like you mentioned, that zone read and he didn't run, I don't know if something's up with that too, but it was, go ahead, Tom, I know you got a thought here.
Well, I think he jarred. This is just at live speed working theory. So they're in the red zone early on. They end up scoring the touchdown. It's their first touchdown of the game. I forget. It was Keziah who got it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a read option to the right, and Tommy stumbles. They're at about the 5-yard line. From that point, he started to limp more and more and more. I think he was already not at 100%. I'm not trying to say that he wasn't banged up for Virginia. I think he was to a degree. Miami, I think but I think he re-aggravated it on that play. To your point, just trying to elevate your point here, that he did look hobbled in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, so I know I think that, but yeah, it was a very odd play calling from Gus. As a lot of people said, this was not a good. I went to. It's funny you brought that up. I looked early, and I think also the West Virginia game. I think maybe they had a lead. West Virginia was able to score a lot. When FSU was able by that kind of miracle, it was a good throw. Whatever, it happened at the end of the half, and they're up 7. I go with the motif against Pitt is you adjust the stuff and you're able to basically move the ball at will against the second half. When they got the gift of getting the ball at midfield, I figured they're going to go down and score. And then they're going to put the throw to rookie quarterback's going to have, suddenly he's down 2 scores, going to have to get rid of the run game, and FSU's going to be in great shape. Yeah, but for Gus to just completely, those next 5 series, just no imagination, and just, I get it to an extent. You're bigger than their defensive front. You're going to try to pound them, but you can primarily pound, but you got to have a little bit of imagination on some things. Some safe throws here and there. Fine. That was an odd sequence for almost the entire second half.
And I don't think that's a call the touchdown play unfair sentiment to share. I mean, the variety is a spice of productivity sometimes. And I know that on the one drive where Keziah fumbles, because of course it couldn't have been anybody else. I love you, Keziah. I still do. I'm in your camp. You're able to run the ball and just continually cave them in. And if you score on that drive, maybe it's a little bit different. But I think when we opened up today's show, I think you hit on it, Gene. You're up 21-14. You have the ball. It's nearly at midfield because they take a stupid penalty before the break. There it is. There's your moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the start of the Virginia game when you're up 21-14. Like, you got a chance to step on their throat.
Yep.
And they couldn't do it. I love this comment. This is funny. Johnny Z. Noles back, and he says, my first date with my wife was 45 years ago when Florida State upset a Dan Marino-led, highly ranked Pitt team. Thanks, Norvell, for almost ruining a beautiful memory. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you. A few more calls, then we'll take a break after that. A short break. These are always short breaks in the postgame show. Richard and Cummings, Georgia, has been waiting for 40 minutes. Oh, my goodness. Richard, thank you for your patience, and go ahead, good sir. Richard, are you there?
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Hey, as I was watching today's game, I was thinking back to when I started bowling on the Professional Bowlers Tour. And in 94 was like my rookie year. It was a gangbang year. I did awesome. 95 was like a collapse. And I do remember coming back, listening to that Miami game on the radio as I was coming back from South Carolina. And all of a sudden, sponsors at the end of the year, they started kind of, they started calling me and saying, hey, buddy, what's going on here? You gotta step this up. And I felt the pressure. And I made the adjustments, and I had the passion the next year. And that was what a couple of the ball reps from Columbia and Ebonite said was, your passion was back. And I noticed that this year with being the third year after the good year of the collapse, it's like, where's the passion from Mike? Where's the improvement? I'm taking the next step in terms of how I play the game, how I perform, how I make decisions. And I'm just not seeing that. That's what was concerning me throughout the game. I just want to know what you guys thought.
No, fair enough. We appreciate you, Richard. And nice humble brag on the pro bowling career. Hopefully it ended good for you. The weird thing about that, and I totally agree with what he's saying, Gene, they did have it against Alabama. You did see them flying to the ball. You did see them rallying for each other. You sensed a togetherness. And I'm not saying that they look like last year's team today. They didn't. But in terms of their attitude.
Yeah.
But, they're caught in betwixt and between, and you can see it spinning. You can see the world spinning around them rather than them playing loose, fast, and free. They looked in between, hesitant, and like they were thinking often. This is specifically on defense more than offense. But what did you see? Passion versus being mechanical?
Well, it's funny if you look at just seeing the demeanor of the players, if the Alabama game and even the two chump teams, and I know there were chump teams and all that stuff the first couple of games, but they were playing loose. These guys were together. They were having fun. I don't know what happened after that Virginia game. Something just sucked all the life out of them at that point. They just, again, they look flat. They look emotionless. They look like Pitt had they were calling innovative plays. Their quarterback was just all over the place and flying. Of course, every unproven quarterback comes in here, looks like Dan Marino all of a sudden. It was just totally a 180 in terms of the demeanor of this team. I have to blame coaching. I don't know what else it is. I know in this NIL era, it's a little different when guys can check out a little quicker than they may have in the past when they've been with the team for years and have a lot of pride and know the system a little bit better. But man, that was so disappointing. And then even with everything that happened, to come in the second half and be even flatter than the first half. I don't get that. How do you just continually regress emotionally and the play on the field game after game after game? It should be the opposite.
Here. About 6,500 of you across the Warchant multimedia footprint. Thank you for watching right now. We hope that we're providing you some therapy. Maybe we're reminding you of something that pissed you off that you forgot about, because there's a lot of things to be mad about. Nearly 2,400 of you right now on Warchant TV on YouTube. Do us a favor. Hit the like button underneath the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's all free, and we're going to be documenting whatever comes next at Warchant TV. I can promise you that.
Who knows?
Let's see. Do we have this right? Glenn has been waiting for nearly 45 minutes in Kuwait. Is that right? Glenn, go ahead. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, bro. Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing? Yeah, I'm over here in Kuwait.
Holy cow. Well, congratulations, first of all, Glenn, on being the longest distance caller that we've had on the post-game show. And the floor is yours.
Well, you got to take the wins where you can. Well, gentlemen, I grew up in the upstate of South Carolina in Greenwood. And back in the 90s, going through school, me and my buddy Logan used to go through the halls as the only two FSU fans. The Clemson fans up there, they'd see our hats and they just avert their gaze because they knew they weren't good enough. And now you look at what's going on and you have to ask yourself, we went that atrocious season last year. Is that an FSU coach? And what's going on this year with losses to Virginia, now Pitt, is that an FSU coach? And you look at the lack of recruiting that we've had, I don't see how it can get better. Year after year, a bad recruiting class is going to the portal to get that little hit of that portal crack. And, gentlemen, I just don't – it's a lot of money. I don't know where we're going to get it from. But if you have an admiral that his ship runs aground, it don't matter if he's asleep. It's still going to fall on him. It's still his fault because he's the captain of the ship. And it's just a sad day for Florida State football. I kind of feel like a Gamecock fan, and I never thought I'd say it.
Fair enough. Thank you, Glenn.
Good call, Glenn. Thanks for calling in.
We appreciate it. It sounds like thank you for your services. Absolutely do there.
100%.
All righty. Fair points. This is something where Mike. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Tom.
No. Oh, Eugene, what you got?
No. I'm just, it gets down to this. So if the season goes, let's say they finish 6-6, which right now is probably the best bet, the way this team looks. How do you? They're going to have some angel investors come in and pay that buyout because there isn't enough money in the coffer to do it. And you're already talking about wanting to jump conference. We all want that as quick as can happen. We see the freaking ridiculousness that goes on with this conference with the scheduling and the officiating. You're going to need money to do that too, because you got to pay the ACC. And now it's a lot less than it was a year ago, but you're still going to have to pay them a large chunk of change. Buying Mike out may delay that. It's just you don't have that much money. So but it's bad money at this point because what is going to happen to booster contributions, NIL, tickets, all the stuff that you need to fund this university next year if you bring Mike Norvell back? Who's going to buy tickets to that?
Yeah, I think if you're going to make that decision, you've probably got a few weeks to decide if that's really the path you wish to walk. But you don't have until after the Florida game, I don't think. In this day and age of college football, you need to make those decisions quicker in order to be able to salvage a recruiting class. And this year's signing day is first week of December. Hang on. I think it's around the 5th of December this year. I remember a couple seasons ago, Gene, it was nearly Christmas, which was insane. But it's December.
Well, they moved the portal at least to January, so at least for the portal perspective, it helps a little bit.
You're correct, it does. But if you're trying to do the recruiting thing better, yeah, December 4th is the first day of the early signing period this year. And the Florida game's the 29th. Like, you're going to – if you're going to do it, you need to do it sooner than the end of the Florida game.
Maybe after Clemson or after NC State, one of those.
It could be. I mean, I think if you're going to have that discussion – now, I don't know if they are. I think everybody in the chat is saying, please do it, have the discussion. But if you're going to have it, the bye week after the roadie at Stanford is the time to discuss.
But I think someone is going to have to step up with some money. I just don't think FSU can write that check right now. But, I mean, it's if you don't – you could have greater losses down the road. So I don't know. I would hate to be Michael Alford and Ocala and trying to make these decisions right now.
Yeah, the hard part is this year was supposed to be the year that you dust yourself off and you give yourself a chance to bring in a good enough recruiting class that you have forward momentum.
This was supposed to be the 8-ish win season, and then you're building on that. It was supposed to be. And
technically, it still could be, but the problem is the juice. Like, Alabama almost sets you up in a position to where you feel less juice now than you would have if you took that, assigned a loss there, and you beat Pitt today.
Oh, you're good enough to win 8 games, but you're right. It's the whole attitude. It's the demeanor of this team, and we've seen this play out before last year where the team kept getting worse and worse, and it looks like we're repeating it.
Yeah.
That is the problem right now. It's not – look, they don't have the talent, especially at certain positions. There's some weaknesses are being taken advantage of right now, but they are a better team talent-wise than Pitt. They were a better team talent-wise than Virginia. Doesn't matter. You lost to those teams, and now you worry the team is going to quit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I am 100%. This day and age of college football, and that was already a fragile thing that you'd put together. Maybe they don't, and maybe they have heart, and they show it when we do the watch-along next week against Stanford. Let's see. Taylor, Kenneth, Priest, Morris, Ray, Joey, hang in there. We're going to get to you next. We're going to take a short break here. Going to get a water. Drinkometer. Hang on. Drinkometer time. Drinkometer. Did I give it away, Gene? Oh, NA beer. All right. You were going with the NA beer today. Very good.
Yep. So this is I'm getting tired of drinking all this non-alcoholic beer every week. This is 3 weeks in a row. We need to stop this. My beer allotment is building up a lot here. I need to drink a real beer for a change. And I don't know. I guess I can drink during the Stanford game so that if they have a lead, maybe we'll do it that way.
There you go. Yes. With a lead, you can have an alcoholic drink. Tied or behind, no. Gene's liver is lonely. It wants to have some fun.
I'm getting very healthy this season.
You are. Good for you. We're going to be back in 2 minutes time. Just 2 minutes. Literally 120 seconds right here on Warchant TV on the Warchant Game Day postgame show built by TSpark Enterprises.
Greatness is built through passion, perseverance, and an unyielding commitment to one's trade. It starts with dedication and the relentless pursuit of perfection. The early mornings, the late evenings, the sacrifices made, all for that one moment of knocking it out of the park. On every job we do, TSpark, we conquer all peaks.
All righty. Unmute myself. Here we go. We will go back to our first caller right now. Who's been waiting well over a half an hour. It's Taylor in Sarasota. Looks like a first-time caller. Taylor, have we spoken to you before? If not, welcome to the show.
Hi there. How y'all doing on this Saturday?
Hanging in there, Taylor.
I feel you. So I wanted to discuss the culture of FSU football. You know, it's been about 8 years since Jimbo Fisher left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was the last head coach that brought the culture that Bobby Bowden brought to this team. You know, I was raised back in the 90s off of Bobby Bowden football. And ever since we lost Fisher, you know, even though we call him a traitor, right? But right now he's been expressing a desire to get back into coaching. What would be y'all's opinion on if we're going to have to replace Mike Norvell? Why don't we look at Jimbo Fisher again?
Well, appreciate the call, Taylor. Gene, I'll let you speak to this. My thought is very simple on Jimbo Fisher. If you ever quit on Florida State football, you're never my head coach again. Now, you could be celebrated and we can have anniversary parties for national championships and you can be honored on the field, but that job is a sacred job. And if you quit on Florida State, I don't care how much you want to cry on a set. I don't care. No. What do you think, Gene?
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up, and I'm always amazed on the message boards on Warchant. It's just all the people that were like absolutely hating him not too long ago, how they've suddenly just overnight forgiven him for that. You know, again, I think Taylor's point is a good one. I think he's right about the culture, but the problem is that culture the last year when he checked out. I mean, it was so horribly handled that last season. What he set the program back years and years, and actually we're still recovering because there was a really bad hire right after him. They had to rush to make a really bad hire, and we thought maybe Norvell was the guy, but it looks like it may be another bad hire that you're sucked into a huge buyout, and that goes back. That's effective. A lot of this is Jimbo's fault right now, so you're going to bring the guy in that created this initial disaster because how he handled things down the stretch. I get it. Look, I think in a vacuum, Tom, putting away what happened that last year, I think he might be okay to come in and be. He obviously knows the game better than anybody. I mean, it's a thrill to listen to him. If you ever the opportunity when he does the simulcast on ACC Network, tune off the idiots from ESPN and listen to him. You'll become a smarter football person because of it. He's really good at that, and I think he could do a better job. But as you said, Tom, ultimately, man, you got like an ex-girlfriend that screws you over, you don't bring her back. You can't do it. There's got to be other good coaches out there you can find to bring in.
I'm not even saying like you can have a role in the program, but like the head role, really? There are a lot of people out there in this world that can coach football. Does it have to be Jimbo? Why does it have to be Jimbo? He went to A&M and was given every resource he ever dreamed of here in Tallahassee and couldn't do a thing with it.
Yeah.
Looks like Mike Elko's doing more with it than Jimbo ever did. So like, it's not that I don't think he deserves to be honored for what he did and what he brought to the program. I'm not saying that everything he did was undone by quitting on the program, but he quit on the program. And also, Gene, the years prior to that, you remember this from doing all those message board posts and insider posts. It's not like he wasn't flirting with LSU hot and heavy for a couple of years.
Twice. And he used FSU every time, and Sexton was loving it. He just held FSU hostage every year. What other coach? Everybody who follows college football, what other coach has done that to a team?
Right.
They don't. I mean, it was some of that stuff was just handled so poorly, and I get it. I like what Jimbo's doing right now, and I think he's really good at it. But he probably will get back into coaching. But you're right; it's the wrong situation, the wrong team, considering what happened. If he'd never coached here before, I'd be all for it.
Yep, not an unfair question, but I have strong feelings on that matter. Maybe y'all don't out there, and that's okay. That's why this is a fun sport to follow because we can all have different viewpoints. Now, one thing that we need to make you aware of is that Lucky Goat Coffee is expanding, everybody. And if you want to be a part of it, it is a very exciting time. Tallahassee's hometown coffee company since 2010. Lucky Goat is a really cool spot. You can hang out here in Tallahassee at many of their locations or enjoy their coffee at many non-Lucky Goat locations because Lucky Goat is just so damn popular. I know for Warchant's purposes, we've had a lot of meetings at Lucky Goat, but it's a great place to go get work done. It's a great place to start your day. And, Gene, you've been a loyal customer who just learned a little bit more about the operation this week, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to get a tour. I've done a lot of brewery tours before. This is my first coffee house tour. It was a lot of fun back there, but I just got to see all the operations. And man, they put a huge priority on quality back there to see how it's so buttoned up and so many people working. And it's really cool to see what they do and, get some great coffee. And what's really cool about some of the locations, there's something like that. I think there's 21 of them. There's one in Jacksonville. They're expanding. That's what we're talking about this with the opportunities. But you go into one of them, it doesn't matter whether it's a franchise one or the original one on Capitol Circle. It's got that hometown coffee shop feel. It's a really coul setup. And ultimately, the bottom line is great coffee with some incredible flavors. We were very happy because we brought home the candy bar one that my wife's very excited to try. So really cool to give people a lot of different things. And you can order online. They've got a huge operation there with e-commerce to sell their coffee. So yeah, fantastic operation. And most of them are run by FSU fans.
The key storyline of the game, that's what they're bringing to us right now, and we'll get to that in just a second. Founded in 2010 with one simple goal in mind, which is make great coffee. Lucky Goat is looking for new franchise partners across the Southeast and Texas, all the way out that far west. People who love great coffee, share Lucky Goat's core values, and want to bring that same community vibe to their hometown. They love having FSU alumni or people with Florida State connections own their franchise businesses with average sales topping $1 million per cafe, proven systems in place. The timing has never been better. So if you're a Seminole who's passionate about craft coffee and ready to own a business with deep FSU roots, visit LuckyGoatFranchise.com or call 850-756-1884 to learn more. Gene, is it the first drive of the third quarter to you? Is it never coming away with a fumble when the other team puts it on the deck? What is it about today that you think maybe Monday, as you're going to Lucky Goat, you're saying to yourself, well, that was the difference in the game?
I think you pretty much nailed it. When they, like you pointed out, their coach gifted you incredible field position when you are up 7 at the start of a half. And you talk to any coach, and I remember having this discussion. Speaking of Jimbo was on, we had several discussions about that. The two key drives are the last drive of the first half and the first drive of the second half. How cute. Now they did what they're supposed to at the end of the first half. But man, that to have a 3 and out, and you've got a halftime to adjust to what they're doing, and just so inept and to punt it and let them come back and score and get right back in the game. Hey, look, I get the fumble happens, but let's face it, at the end of the day, they were driving down the field on you. We've seen that the fumbles aren't going to go your way most of the time. You can't count on that. To me, that was the key because, in my opinion, when you got a freshman quarterback in there, you go up 2 touchdowns. They've got to alter their game plan a little bit, and I think you've got them where you want them. At that point, I think the game's over.
So the number for Pitt for the game was 476 yards of offense with a freshman quarterback who was 21-29 for 321. He did throw 2 picks, but he had 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 64 yards today.
Wow. And he's not even a mobile quarterback.
No, you brought this up earlier. I didn't address it. You're right. They made him look like a blend of Ben Roethlisberger and Johnny Manziel. They weren't strong enough to get him on the ground. They were afraid of him. You could tell when he broke the pocket, the linebackers or the safeties would kind of hesitate and wait and look and see. He's not that fast.
Well, they weren't running by him half the time. I don't know what was going on. I mean, just tackling and just that last drive too. The guy I guess he thought he was throwing the ball and jumped up to try to block it, but he just jumped up in the air and the quarterback just walked right by him.
One of his interceptions is not a bad one. It's an arm punt, and Earl Little comes down with it. But even that play, if you can stomach watching the highlights, I say that way too often. Like we can't go back and watch our own games without being mad. But Juice Cryer has a chance to light him into next year, and it's almost as he's afraid of being juked. So afraid of being juked, he just pulls up, and you end up getting an interception out of the play. But it was a 3rd and 5, and it ends up being like an excellent punt, essentially.
But at least you had someone around him. It seemed like when there was just a little bit of pressure, he would fold. He'd make some bad passes and some bad decisions, which a freshman quarterback on the road making his first road start is going to do. But yet half the time you had 3 rushing. There's a couple plays on one of those 3rd and longs that killed us, Tom. They rushed 3. They dropped the defensive tackle back into coverage. What good does that do?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Trying to trick your way to some stuff. Let's see. We go to Delwood, Florida. It's Kenneth in Delwood. Go ahead, Kenneth, and welcome to the program.
Hey, y'all. Just a couple quick questions. First of all, talking about, like I said, Mike Norvell's got to go. He's done. And who would be the best coach replacing? Because everybody wanted Deion Sanders. He ain't doing good out there at Colorado. And talk about raising the money. Let's just sell his house and start raising his money that way. Give him a sign and get out of Tallahassee. And my second question is, y'all talking about the playoffs. Does the ACC hate Florida State that much that we probably won't never win the championship as long as we in the ACC?
Well, appreciate it. Thank you,
Thanks,
Kenneth.
Kenneth.
Paul. Gene, you love to talk about officials. Do you think there's?
Wait, I missed Kenneth was breaking up there a little bit. He just said they hate the FSU.
I think his attitude. His question is the ACC's attitude so negative against Florida State that they would try to get in Florida State's way. That's the way I took it.
Well, they've always been. I mean, we've documented this. I think both Corey and I have run stories in the past documenting the calls and talking to mathematicians and saying what the call disparity is not even doesn't add up mathematically. Obviously, there's bias when it comes to the ACC. But I honestly think what happened with the lawsuit in FSU winning it and screwing them over and embarrassing them and ESPN over this whole thing, I think they are even more vindictive now than ever. I mean, to have that call and that grounding, and with all those officials who do this for a living with a clear face to say, I don't see anything to be able to reverse this call. There's no clear view. And the ball is bouncing 1.5 yards before where the line of scrimmage are. Why don't they put up when they show that? Why doesn't ESPN, who's broadcasting, put the line?
Yeah.
They have that yellow line there all the time during the game. So on the key thing, whether it's past the line or not, why wouldn't you put the line there then?
Yeah, well, they did on the play-by-play. Like you can see it in the live play itself. You knew it was short. And for those of you just joining us, welcome. First of all, get yourself a beverage. But this is not the reason Florida State lost the game.
No,
So
I'm glad you made that clear because people are saying we're not saying that. And the thing, and why are the commentators when Deuce Robinson is being choked out on the sideline and the official, they show the replay, he's sitting there watching the whole thing. And not only the official does nothing, the commentators don't even mention that. You know, they could have at least said, well, it probably should have been on both sides or whatever. I mean, why do your job? You're supposed to evaluate the game. When you see something clear and obvious like that and it's not being called correctly, say something.
Yeah. We have 52 people who have donated to the program that have been called out. I know.
Unreal. You people are awesome.
And/or join the program. Hey, look at that. I like the Halo avatar. There you go, Shaggy Knoll. Thank you for becoming a member. We very much appreciate that. Aaron P. I'll throw in the first $5 to the buyout. Fire Mike Norvell. We appreciate the donation. That's not where that goes, but we appreciate
$55,900,000, whatever to go, whatever the buyout is.
We appreciate you. Thank you. Fire Mike says John Wesley. Thank you very much there. We've seen that a lot. Dominic says this team's dead. Mike has lost the fan base. I think that's what today is about. It's not they could still have a decent record relative to preseason expectations, but the fan base checked out this afternoon, I think is what's happening.
I think that I know a lot of friends that didn't come this weekend. They were already kind of checked out.
We went from Bama to this, need a reset. We have lost faith. Thank you, Dominic, for that sentiment and contribution. Ian, member for 2 months. Thank you, Ian. We appreciate that. It's over for Norvell and staff. I've never called for his removal, but it's time.
Yeah. You pointed out earlier, Tom, a lot of the Norvell supporters have jumping off ship.
It's official end of Norvell era at FSU, says Caleb. Thank you, Hyperbolic Knoll. Main burner, are we back yet? No. Zion Equity Group.
We're back to last year. Yeah.
What do you think about Dillingham as a replacement? I don't think folks could stand a Mike Norvell tree higher as a replacement right now. Is that fair, Gene?
I don't know. People kind of like Dilly around here.
Yeah. I thought he was funny.
No, they get the whole don't hire the group of fives. I mean, he's kind of proven himself at Arizona State. So I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it'd be okay.
Zion again. Do you think Gus is outdated with his play calling?
He had a bad half.
I think yep. Gene is correct there. He had a bad half. I think he called a better game in Miami than Tommy showed. But that doesn't mean that he was without fault. So hopefully that answers your question. Mr. Walking Billboard. Hey guys, me again. Quick question. Do you focus on the remaining season or next season? Thanks. Signed, Mr. Walking Billboard.
Oh, how do you define that? How are you focusing on next season? What do you do this season?
Yeah. There it is. What a logical answer. We're going to go back to the phones on that note. Thank you, Gene. That was an excellent answer. We go to St. Petersburg. Priest in St. Pete. Bring it, Priest. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, guys. I just first want to say I'm sorry for the loss. We're suffering through this, but we're going to get through it together.
Mm-hmm.
My first few questions is, where do we go from here? Like, I don't think we can fire Norvell because he's going to cost more than most of our houses. And two, do we put all the blame on Mike, or do we put some of the blame on the administration for spending how much money they had to fire Willie Taggart, renovate the stadium, to keep Mike Norvell? I mean, it's starting to become like we're losing more money than we're making. So that's my question, guys. And as always, go Noles.
All right.
Thank you, Priest.
Thank you, Priest. Well, I think it's so easy, Gene, and I want to get your take on this because you always like to think big picture in business decisions. The information that you had at the time you made the decision is really important, and it's so easy when you have new information after the fact. I think they were in a position where they had to make a decision on extending Mike Norvell after going 13-0 and losing the Orange Bowl game 13-1, and they felt the Alabama threat was real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can blame the administration with the information they had at that time, which was you won 19 in a row and you won 23 out of quick math, 23 out of 25 games, something like that. I mean, 26 games. Are they to blame for extending Mike Norvell? I don't know. I feel like that would be some Monday morning quarterbacking given what they had before them at the time. The stadium and the football-only facility at the same time, is that fair? Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, going back on, I'm glad you brought that up because whether that was, I do think Alabama was going after Mike, and I do think he legitimately could have got that job. But whether Sexton had created that whole narrative, either way, imagine the reaction from the fan base if he gets taken away too after an undefeated season. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I'm glad about the issue I have with that. And I had a lunch with my buddy Mike. Hopefully he's watching this the other day. We were having this exact discussion. And I think we both agree the issue with that was the amount of money they gave to the assistants. Adam Fuller, no one was going after Adam Fuller. You did not have to give him that long-term, lot of money contract. I thought, and I think Norvell was able to he pushed for those guys to get, and Alex Atkins and all those guys. I don't think they had the resumes or really the interest from other schools to throw that amount of money. So that I would agree with. And now I think the stadium renovation and all that, I mean, that had been planned years and years and years ago. It had to happen. Eventually, you're hoping you're going to be in the Big Ten or the SEC. You had to grow. Everything had been outgrown. It had to happen. I think the worst part of that was it happened all around a 2-10 season. I just think that exacerbated thing. And I know that Priest also brought up the Willie Taggart thing. That was a completely different administration. He's bringing up the administration. There's a different president, different AD, totally different scenario on that. So you can't put that blame on them. But, I think you're right. The nuances, the way things played out, it played out, unfortunately, a bad way for FSU. But it's hard to really nitpick decisions in hindsight, stuff that's going on. I'm sure right now we should, if we know now, Alabama take Norvell. Save us all that money, but we can't. At the time, the decision being made, you had to pay that money. At least they felt, Sexton put him in that position. They had to pay that money, or he was going to leave.
Yeah, I think the pitchforks would have been at the gate if you let Alabama take Mike Norvell away in that moment. I think that's a great.
We don't have the money. Jimbo was right. I mean, that would have been the thing. Jimbo going out the gate, blaming FSU for not spending. You got a coach who just went undefeated, who brought us from the brink, and you're letting another team buy him because we're poor.
Yep. Yeah. Correct. Kenny says, where do we go from here? This team is so bad and good at the same time. I'm all ears. What do we do from here? But I'm losing faith. Well, that last part is the key to monitor right now. For the roster, are they losing faith? Are they still in? Because
fans are, but are the players.
Right. This was a body blow. Where are the players at for the next week? All you can do is watch them at this point. And I'm not just talking about the players on the field and the coaches on the sideline. Also watch the administration. What's the messaging like? Is Michael Alford willing to speak on this at all? If he is, what kind of language is he using? Like, that's where we're at right now. You're just looking for indications across
the first time someone in the media gets to talk to him, there's going to be, what is Mike Norvell's future? And you're going to get that, answer. I know you like talking about the wildly popular Jeff Cameron show. The answer when they say, we have complete faith in our coach and all that, which is the death knell for the coach. So I'm curious to see what that first quote will be from Alford when he gets asked.
These kids are tremendous students. They do a great job in the classroom. Yeah, all those. Nick, thank you for the super sticker. Very much appreciate that. Let's see. Caleb says, so this is what it's like to be a middling ACC team. Yeah.
Middling at best. And what, they 0-8 in the ACC? I don't know. I think you're a cellar dweller right now.
Yeah, I think we were a middling ACC team when I was in school 20 years ago. This is a little much. Zion Equity Group, is it time to bench Tommy? I don't think so yet, but I could understand if you don't think you're going to use him next year and you don't think he wants to come back and apply for another year of eligibility, you probably want to.
And you got a freshman quarterback that looks like he's got some potential, but I mean that goes back to, like, do we start prepping from? I think it's a little too early for that.
Yep.
But yeah, if you get to that mode where you're completely preparing for next season, maybe you give him a start against one of these. Give him a start against Wake Forest or something to see how it goes. I wouldn't give him a start against Stanford on the road and whatever in this kind of crazy environment. But I don't think we're there yet. And again, I do think the way the system works, and I know FSU usually gets screwed by the NCAA, but I do think Tommy, based on the circumstances, because he played that extra game in the championships with the exempt, it's a long explanation of his eligibility, but I do think 90% chance he probably gets that extra year if he really wants it.
Mm-hmm. Patrick Vickers says, if we were to move on from Mike, who would you go after? A top G5 coach or a top Power 2 coordinator? Recruiting
it's too early. I'm like, people are going to want hot boards already. It's not happening, guys. It's way too early to.
Yeah. I love the question and appreciate the contribution, Patrick. I think it matters about recruiting roots in the state of Florida and the Southeast. I think that, and that could be either. You know, you could have.
If you got a hot young coordinator and he's resonating and he's got roots here and all those kind of things and everything's adding up, I'm all for that. Or I don't care whoever is going to be the best hire for Florida State. I don't think you pigeonhole it into one or the other.
Thank you very much for the question, Patrick, and the contribution. We appreciate that.
We appreciate
Corey. So what happens come Monday? Who sits Mike down to talk about what's going on? Who holds him accountable? Can you say all of this is on his shoulders? Yeah, you can. I think the call from Kuwait was very well spelled out. I mean, it's year 6. I mean, good Lord. I think Bert Kreischer would have graduated by now, you know, like, so it's been a long time. At some point, it's all on his shoulders, right?
He's the head coach. He's been here a long time. And yeah, when a team does what they did today, it's a coaching loss. When you're superior talent, you're at home, you're against a freshman quarterback, you have a halftime lead. You're superior talent. I mean, and I get it. There were some things that I know we don't like to talk about some nuances, but they were down their top 4 receivers. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You know, when you throw Pittman out there. So they were down that. And I think they lost another offensive lineman. Didn't Leonard go out in this game too? So they were down 2 offensive linemen.
So Leonard was out for a series.
He came back. Okay.
He did, but Pettis was unavailable for the whole game. Yeah, they had some things that they thought, I think, midweek that were going to be fine that didn't turn out to be fine, and kids were out. But still, it's just.
No, I'm just saying we need to consider that, but that doesn't excuse anything. That I'm just saying you had them at halftime. You're up a touchdown. You're getting possession in midfield. No excuse. For the next 5 drives, I'll say it again, 5 straight drives after half, 3 and outs, a fumble, and a field goal against a average to below average defensive team. No excuse.
I really thought when Tommy threw up the prayer, he rolled left, and it was a great job to get away from the sack. But I mean, like, you have 3 points there, dude. What are you doing? But Landon Thomas comes down with it. I thought we'd be talking after a victory, and I'd be like, all right, everybody, this is a great win. But Tommy stopped that crap, but and unfortunately we ended up losing the game outright.
Well, he kind of did that to Pittman in the Virginia game too. He had a throw like that, and it worked on 4th down. I mean, he's pulled that off a couple times.
Roof One says Mike's buyout is crazy, but how much money do we lose long term if we don't change this direction? And there is the high level question that Board of Trustees, school administration, the president of the university. You probably call in a third party service that does data analytics and research, and you ask
ask GPT, how much money will FSU lose if Mike Norvell's on for another year?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it is that. I think that's it. That's going to be, I think, the next couple months, Tom, what we're going to be talking about. Can FSU afford to keep him, or can they afford to fire? I mean, I don't know what the numbers do. My feeling is if they end up 5-6 wins this season, I think they're going to lose more money in the long run if they hold on to Mike.
I think it's fair. I expect, just personally speaking, if they go 6-6, we broke down the schedule a little earlier in the program. If they go 6-6, they're going to make that decision. They're going to swing the axe. But if they go 7-5 or 8-4, this is the preseason thing that we talked about, Gene, a bunch as a staff and as a fan base. Yeah, right. What do they do?
Weird limbo. I think you'd have to probably. It means if you would finish. It means maybe you beat a Clemson, maybe you beat a Florida or somebody in there. I don't know. So maybe you had a win or 2 that are pretty good. So maybe you get a little bit of mojo. But again, that would tell me there was a shift in the demeanor of this team if they are able to win 7+ games at this point. To me, then that would go to coaching. Okay, the coaching did something to turn some things around right now. It's spiraling downward faster and faster right now. They're going down a waterfall. So if they are able to turn that around to some extent, then you got to give some credit to coaching. So I don't see that happening from what I saw today, but I mean, crazier things have happened in college football. It could happen.
Yeah. If you can put away the anger for a minute, get your popcorn ready. This is going to be a really fascinating month to watch. Yeah. Morris in Claremont is next. Morris, welcome to the program. Go ahead.
Yes. Tom and Gene, I agree with y'all assessment for as what y'all been talking about. Am I on?
Yeah, you're good, Morris.
Okay. Okay. I agree with y'all assessment of the game and what y'all been saying, but I am so disappointed in what I'm seeing, especially when we played Alabama and the juice, that energy that was brought for that game. Granted, we played 2 cupcake teams after that, but when we got to Virginia, what happened? I mean, it's like they were flattened in, and I know when you got so much talent on your team, you cannot keep you cannot have a team hanging around. You got too much talent. You got to beat them. You got to take the heart out of them. And Florida State, for whatever reason, it's like we played around with it. We know we good. We play around with it. And it's like there's no energy. It's not even, the energy level on this team is nowhere near the energy level when they play Alabama. It's just flat. And Gene hit on it. The start of this game, flat. I said, oh, we in trouble. So we was up at halftime. Coming out of halftime, you got the ball. Go down the field, score. It put pressure on Pitt. You got a freshman quarterback. The question is, they came out flattened in. If you look at the possessions in the second half, all the possessions, quick 3 and outs. And the commentary, what they kept saying, the Florida State offensive line is so big and massive compared to the undersize of Pitt, and they should have been running through them guys. And for the life of it, I don't understand. Now, one thing I do have a problem with is the play that Dancy do the roundabout play that he runs. It got to be another play off of that play. You can't continue running that same play because everybody scouted that on the film. Even Miami, that play coming. You have to be able to have another play off of that. Because if you're looking at Dancy, you focusing on Dancy, it got to be somebody else open on that play.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Morris. And
sorry, I'm glad he thanks, Morris. I think he nailed it because I said the same thing on that play. When I saw him come in, because you got to remember, second half he played a lot because Deuce was out. He's on the field a very small amount of time. When he lines up in that spot, trust me, Pitt has seen that play over and over and over again. They knew that was coming, and that was very obvious. That huge loss they took on that killed one of the drives.
Well, yeah, you just call a blitz into it, and then you're right. They did a good job of breaking it down on TV, showing how the key defender understood, reacted because they repped for Mekhi Danzy all week. And Morris, we hope you call back again. It was just we're going against the time limit there, but we appreciate your call. It's a very good one. This is the complaint about Gus Malzahn. Auburn fans, go ahead. We can get a round of applause.
Yeah, that was a good call, Morris. Call back.
So there are times when Tommy's being Tommy, and we saw that today. You got the full Tommy Castellanos experience, which is a couple of times you go, what in the hell are you doing? And then you go, holy cow, how did you do that? Auburn fans, UCF fans will tell you about Gus Malzahn, that he could be innovative and he can have somebody looking stupid, but then when they're going to complain about a bad day, it's to say, why are we running the same plays over and over and over again? This is the ups and downs that come with having Gus. It's just that Morris is right. Gene was right earlier when he said it. You had a chance to put pressure on them and end the game. First possession, second half. You're up 21-14. Score a touchdown there. We're having a very different postgame show right now.
Yeah. And Tommy, you went back to this earlier in the Virginia game. You pointed this out. I think you said, quote, we were playing with our food. A lot of times during that game when you had several opportunities to basically go up a couple scores, put them on their heels, and have the game in your thing. It was the same thing that happened here. You had so many opportunities, especially we keep pointing out that there were several other times he had a chance to really put them on their heels in this game. You didn't do it. And, Morris brought that up, and it's just you would not take the heart out of them. We just let them hang in there. When you do that to an underdog, to a freshman quarterback, confidence builds. They think we play flatter and flatter. You're doing a recipe to be upset. In both of those games, you did exactly what you need to do to lose games. So, yeah, very, very disappointing, very frustrating.
Thank you, Morris, and we appreciate you calling. Yeah. So you hopped in the chat. William, I think I'll translate this a little bit. We do not need to waste money on coaches. Norvell is not calling plays. We need to spend money on player talent and depth. Yeah, that also is probably part of the equation.
More talented to answer. That's a good point. But isn't FSU more talented than Virginia and Pitt?
Yep.
And here's the thing. So you go back, and I think On3 had this a while ago. They ranked the NIL. I think FSU was 20 on that. So I get it. They're not Miami's top 5. So we get that. Virginia and, Pitt, I don't think they're in the top 30 or 40. So here's the thing. You should be a top 20-ish type team then. So you're losing to these teams where you should have more talent. It looks like you have more talent. That's the issue. Yes, I would like more money needs to go to NIL for FSU to be a top 10 type team. But there's more than that going on here.
Yeah, I would agree. I think defensively, however, I think Pitt might be better. But I think if you're just talking total roster of 22 starters, come on.
Well, linebacker would barely. I don't know if there's FCS teams that have better linebacker play right now.
Dante, thank you for the contribution. 3rd and Kelly, 3rd and Barnett, 3rd and playing the hits, 3rd and Fuller, 3rd.
Wow, I forgot about some of those. Wow.
What's our problem with past ECs? How long is Jeremy Pruitt's suspension? Other than who would you sit down? Other than that, who would you sit down with to discuss their time?
Cuttrell out there. I mean, I guess they're not technically a walk-on anymore, but technically probably really effectively a walk-on out there. I mean, that's who else are you going to put out there?
And that's a signal being sent to Elijah Herring. And Omar Graham got a lot of snaps, and we'll get the snap counter from Gene tomorrow on PFF. Yeah. But I think Tony was less than pleased with the results he was getting, but at some point you just don't have players. And so I know we were just talking about relative to Virginia. Certainly, Florida State's defense is more talented than Virginia's defense. Virginia's defense is really, really special kind of bad. But, I mean, if we were saying earlier, you can't get pressure without bringing more guys, and then you can't cover dudes one-on-one. How good of a defense do you have, really? And we've got 43 more contributions. Y'all are crazy today.
Oh, my
Thank
gosh.
you so much. We will rapid fire that in a little bit here, but we go to Tampa now. I love Tampa. We go to Ray in Tampa. Go ahead, Ray. Welcome to the program.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Hey,
my thoughts of the whole coach situation would be if we fire Coach Norvell now or buy him out, Coach Thompson coach the Stanford game. We have the bye week. Hire somebody that immediately make an impact on recruiting, the boosters, possibly can save the season. Keep the coordinators in place because he doesn't typically micromanage. Just want to hear your thoughts. What if we hire Coach Saban? Don't know.
If Florida State hired Nick Saban,
I want what Ray's smoking.
Oh man, the donations would flow.
That is true.
Yeah.
He's probably itching to get back into coaching. If you're going to dream it, it's Jameis says, if we're going to do it, let's do it big. I'm all for it, Ray. I don't see it happening, but boy, I'd love to see it. You can't. You're not going to fire. It doesn't do any good to fire Norvell in mid-October. It just doesn't. I mean, could it happen 3 or 4 games down the road, especially if this crap continues? Yes, it could happen. It's a little early for that.
So Grok estimates, according to Florida Man in Alabama, he went to one AI service. FSU loses 20 to 30 million by keeping Norvell. If they brought in Saban, they'd make.
Is that a net 30 to 40 million they lose? So by keeping okay.
There you go. Well, we appreciate that, Florida Man in Alabama. Let's see. Cy Guy, Mike Alford is a cash register for bad coaches. Again, information at the time. I hear you what you're saying, though. Brian effing Hartline is what Will wants. Brian Hartline to be in the state, recruit good wide receivers, and clean up. That's so he's got it. Thank you, Will. Yuckmouth. Oh, here we go. This team lacks discipline and consistency. Norvell's message has gone stale. Grateful for the therapy, Tom and Gene. It's all we have to look forward to this season. Always go Noles. Oh, I'm sure there's more to look forward to.
Yuckmouth. Thank you, buddy.
We appreciate it. So Angela and Yuckmouth have been broken. Ouch. That's a tough Saturday. Let's see. Tall Florida guy. Unfortunately, players will start making business decisions and not going all out in the field looking to transfer, getting ready for the NFL. Another meaningless season for Florida State. That's something we got to watch, Gene. In this day and age.
That's the first part, correct. But getting ready for the NFL, going out there and loafing and not doing stuff, that's not really good for your NFL stock. So, I mean, part of that we've seen, but that's not very smart. If you're like, I'm just going to take it easy out there so I get ready for the NFL, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money if you do that.
Very similar to another comment, 3rd and Kelly, 3rd and blah, 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 blah. Other than that, guys, if possible, could we bring back Jeremy Pruitt? He at least had those dudes playing like dogs with him back in 2013. They played hard. But I'll tell you what, like a month ago, that defense played really hard against Alabama. The wind is out of their sails, unfortunately. Main burner, Signetti, Landon Kiffin, and start the list with them. C Black. Is Norvell buyout worth turning into Nebraska? There's another big picture question. The Oz of Wizards. Appreciate the 99 cents. Hopefully that target is not meant for anybody. Let's see. Eric says will FSU pay a $58 million buyout for Norvell? We don't know. We shall see. We thank you, Eric. Ronald, our fan base has been beyond patient. It's time.
Yes, they
I
have.
do feel like that. Yes, I do feel like the fan base has been understanding. Gene, do you? Or do you think they've been unreasonable?
Well, there. I can't say that unanimously. Obviously, 2-10. There was a lot of people that seen enough, and the goodwill and beyond from 2023 had already burned out at that point. I think there were some people on there now, but I think what we're seeing today, Tom, is a lot of the people that were still behind Norvell and try to put a lot of things into context. Put last year up as an aberration. It seems like they're all off the bandwagon now. So, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of supporters in his camp anymore.
William, thank you for the contribution. We now go back to the phone lines. Tavares, Florida. We go to Joey. Did I pronounce the town right, Joey? Did I get it right this time? Welcome to the program, and go ahead.
Tom, you nailed it, brother. You nailed it. If you got the 90-second time limit, just cut me off, Tom. I got a lot to say, but I'll try to get it all in. Number one, good talking to you guys. Thank you for what you guys do. Tom, you're going to probably have to sprinkly dinkly me, man, and get me off the ledge. I'm upset and distraught, brother. I'm more upset this year than I was last year. It's just, and it stems from, I was a fan at 7. I'm an alum, and it's just bad. Try to get to my point. I got a lot of things to say, but I'll just get. When Tony White was hired, I wanted to kind of call you guys and you and Jeff and kind of talk to you because I coached for Coach Long for like 3 years out of New Mexico. Now I didn't know Tony and I didn't know Zach Arnett. They were behind me. But my 8-year college coaching career, however it's set up, I went against that defense. I was offense coach. I went against that defense every day for 8 years and just kind of worked out that way. And they are getting beat just how you beat them. You run the ball on the 3-man front. You throw the ball to the back side of the backfield. They're always open. It's great. And, and it's a hokey defense, man. It's kind of like Gus' hokey offense. And where are they, who runs that? Nobody runs that defense in the SEC. No one runs that in the pros and Big Ten. Where did they run it and have success at? University of New Mexico, San Diego State. That's the Mountain West. You can run that stuff against players like that. And I just, it's just bad. I thought it was bad. I always agree with you guys, you and Jeff, when I listen to you, almost lockstep. And I was really surprised at how measured you guys were after the Virginia loss, because I thought it was really, really bad that time. And you're just seeing it. I mean, you're an O-line guy. That was my niche. And you see a 3-man front. Yeah, that's what I want to do. All right, bring a 3-man front. And we were just getting monstered. And I drank the Kool-Aid against Alabama. But they look night and day. It's not even the same. And I don't think these kids are not trying hard. I think it goes back again to talent. I think you and Jeff talked about it just the other day, Tom, about how, it wasn't maybe a mental, wasn't between the ears. It was just they don't have it, and they don't.
Yep. They don't. I had to take you at your word there, Joey. I'm sorry. We got you. I gave you a bonus 15, 20 seconds. It's the Virginia game for just a moment was disappointing to me because I think they wanted to scheme up just enough to get ahead, and then from there, Virginia turns one-dimensional. And the offense farted around a little bit there in the first quarter and the first half, Gene, because they did generate 2 interceptions in the first half of that game with the 3-3-5 by playing coverage. But Joey's right. I mean, you can't find me an NFL team or an SEC team that runs a 3-3-5 and is successful with it. So I can understand that criticism. But I also don't know how much Tony has to work with. That's why we were all blown away by the Alabama product. Like, holy cow, how the hell did you do that against Alabama? But unfortunately, that looks more and more like the outlier with every quarter of football that we watch, right?
And they didn't have the film, that I think these other suits have. But to going back to Joey's point there, one thing, I get it to an extent, but I think to me, it's a bigger talent thing. I think because, Tom, if you have some capable linebackers who are pretty good in coverage, are we having this conversation about the 3-3-5 right now? Because that is getting exposed. The coaches are seeing that on film. They're isolating those guys on these routes. and they're getting destroyed to me. I mean, to me, that's ultimately it. Yeah, I get it. The scheme's a little off and maybe not a major college football type scheme you want to use. But I think if you had some decent linebackers, I think FSU's got one loss right now.
Yeah, I agree. Or put Jared Verse on this team, like one player.
Yeah.
If you have a pass rusher, then magically these guys will be able to hold up in coverage. So again, that's the paradox of suck, as I called it earlier. It's a tough place to be. We now go to our caller, one of our favorites. It's Spartan Noles 71. I saw you with that contribution, Ralph. I couldn't read that one. I couldn't put that on the screen, but I got the joke, and it's funny. Spartan Noles 71. Ralph, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. And I didn't expect you to. I was being tongue-in-cheek. I don't wish any personal strife on anybody, obviously. I would like to politely disagree with you, gentlemen, if I may, about the data at the time that Norvell's contract, which is what we're living with now, had to be what it was. Because the data at the time was no internal development, and all of our high school recruits were transferring out. And we were literally living year by year on a coin flip of who came in and how well they produced for maybe a year or two. So I would just simply like to point out, in my opinion only, the true test or health of a program at the time you're going to make that decision was how well were we developing the guys we were bringing in for more than a rental year or whatever. That's neither here nor there. It's just my personal opinion. I've asked this question in the past, and I don't remember the answer, and I don't really think it addressed the issue, but it seems like a timely manner to ask it again. Regardless of what happens with Mike, stays, goes this year, next year, 3 years from now, how does athletic director Michael Alford take control back from the agents, because the next guy is going to want a similar style contract, and we, the fans and the people who are ponying up, seem to be the only one is getting hosed in this whole damn scenario. Love everybody out there. Thank you. God bless. I'll see y'all for Virginia Tech. Aloha.
Aloha, Ralph.
Yeah, perfectly reasonable opinion, I think, in terms of the information at the time from Mike Norvell, because it was portal based. But I would argue that at that time, that was also the reality of college football. And Florida State had proven to be quite good at procuring talent and maybe developing those players. Certainly not high school. They needed to dip into the portal, but it's a great take, and I understand where he's coming from. Gene, do you want to take this one? I've got thoughts on it, but do you want to take Michael Alford?
Well, let me first on the going back to the extension of Mike Norvell. A couple things. I think college football was in such a weird point at that point. We didn't know that the portal wasn't sustainable. I mean, all these guys were in there. Mike Norvell was owning. He was called the portal king. He was getting all these players out of that. We didn't know that. And I think what happened to the high school recruiting, we really didn't know at that point because he'd only been there for a couple of years to viably recruit. Throw COVID year out, he couldn't recruit. He had a couple of years left. So we really didn't know it. There were some few negative signs about the high school recruiting. But to me, it really looked like he was owning the portal. We thought it was sustainable. Things have changed a little bit with the portal. Now NIL has become so out of control. What we were talking about, oh my God, you pay $1 million for a quarterback just a year or two ago. That was ridiculous. And now the Mannings and the guy in Miami are making 5, 6, 7 times that. So the dynamic has changed so much. I don't think you could have foreseen that back when that happened. So I get Ralph's got a good point. But I want to say, still, you really don't know. You made the decision based on what you had in front of you at the time. So I don't really blame the administration that much. Going back to, I guess, what was he asking about? What Alford?
Well, I think
do at this point?
Here are my thoughts. Yeah, it's about what can an athletic director do. I don't think much of anything. I think you've got a sport-wide problem here. Everybody's focused
with the agents. Yeah.
Everybody's focused on the portal, and everybody's focused on NIL or rev share or whatever it is, and player movement. This has been a plague in the sport for well longer than a decade, since $1 million coordinators like Will Muschamp first broke that barrier. And you're like, really? Is that guy worth that much? And the buyout structures got more penal to the university, and not two-sided, but it was a one-sided buyout. This has been a plague that is across the sport, no matter the conference, no matter the location. The coaches and the agents have all the power because universities can't help themselves. They say yes to whatever terms. And the agent, and specifically Sexton, has these athletic departments and administrations over a barrel, Gene. I don't think there's a Florida State specific fix. I think the sport needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches have been bending over this industry for a long time. We're mad about players right now, but
now they're bending them over. They're both doing it. The fans are getting it from both the coaches. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tom, but they're getting it from both the coaches and the players. Yeah. This is the issue now. This is the only sport in the world where the fans have to fund both the coaches and the players. It's unbelievable. Now the problem is with the way we're having the NIL set up is all that money going to the coaches is less money. We have all this money going to Mike Norvell. Now the way you can divert this money and the university is more involved in NIL, that's not going to the players. Yep. When there's a talent disparity, if Mike Norvell's making half the amount of money he's making right now, that'd be a lot more money to go to NIL. And maybe we wouldn't be in this. Maybe you could get a couple linebackers with that money, and FSU's sitting with one loss right now. And we're not having these debates. So, yes, it sucks, Ralph. And I agree 100% about the agents. College football is completely screwed up right now with both the players and the coaches. I don't know the solution, but it has to get fixed. It's only going to get worse.
Well, and to reset the discussion, that's why today feels so important, because the fans do have such a large financial say in the health of a program, more than the NFL. Yeah, the NFL cares a lot about the gate and the parking and the concessions, and that matters greatly to the bottom line, but it doesn't affect their salary cap number. The number's the number. Mm-hmm. That's collectively bargained, and they're going to spend it because the television revenue is coming down the pike, and they'll have the money to spend at or near the cap. Fan interest in concessions and parking and season ticket sales doesn't affect whether the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an indoor practice facility or you know what I mean? But in this sport, it matters greatly, which is why today, and the manner in which it happened, and the comments we're reading from usually positive or reasonable people, today matters a lot for Mike Norvell, and it's not in a good way. We're going to take 90 seconds, collect our breath here, and we still have over 30 contributions from those of you who are incredibly generous. We're going to be back and thank all of you. Unfortunately, the phone lines are done for the day. Yep. We appreciate Ralph for closing the book on that. 90 seconds. We'll be right back here on Warchant TV on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show, built by TSpark Enterprises.
It rains 130 days a year in Tallahassee, which is 1.7 million gallons of water coming down, plus 500 pounds of leaves piling up on your roof, and maybe a tree branch or two. We spend 23.5 hours a day thinking about roofs. We've driven 60,000 miles in a year serving our customers. We've climbed 2,000 ladders to install over 100,000 shingles. You've got one roof. Let TSpark worry about the rest.
Another word from our friends at TSpark Enterprises. We appreciate their support of our show. TSpark does not only commercial and residential roofing, but also helps with home remodeling, additions, and businesses that need updates or build-outs. Check out their website for all the construction services that they provide, and they're so awesome with home work as well. They remind you, as we're nearing the end of a big season where windy storms happen, knock on wood, it's pretty good to us. Check your gutters, check for and remove roof debris. Inspect the roof for cracks on the roof's ridges and crack damaged shingles. Ensure the flashing is properly sealed and has no holes. Inspect skylights. Make sure they're sealed and secured. Check flat roofs, especially for standing water, deterioration, and discoloration. Trim overhanging nearby trees and bushes. These are things that you can do on your own, or you can call TSpark Enterprises to help you out with if you're in North Florida or South Georgia. TSparkConstruction.com. Speaking of .com, he's .com, Gene Williams. My name is Tom Lang, and we'll see you next week for the 10:30 kickoff against Stanford. We will have beverages in hand, and we will be watching with you as the game goes along. A little bit different. next week. I'll be setting up in my living room for that one, Gene. That'll be a fun evening. And we'll see. Hopefully, Gene is drinking alcohol because we've already decided that for the Drinkometer, if Florida State is ahead, he gets to drink beers, wine, and liquor or whatever he wants. But if Florida State is tied or behind, it's NA beers or water. Are we sticking with that?
We're sticking with it. So look, knowing our luck, I'll be drinking water and NA beer the whole game. I'll be losing the whole game. If that happens, we leave Mike on the tarmac in California, right?
That would be what everybody's calling for in our brief closing comments. I think the comments would go nuts. Equity Group is back for 80 million times, and you don't have to do this, Zion, but we appreciate you. Should we go back to a pro-style offense like we used to do under Bowden? I don't know how pro-style it was at the time, but I like having two backs in the backfield, like a fullback and so forth. We appreciate the contribution. He also says we look like a high school team. So thank you, Zion Equity Group. Tony G, a member of the channel for a long, long time, also stepping up here. I know we did it last year, but it's time for Tommy to sit. He's either hurt or doesn't care because he's sliding and sitting when we are tied or down. There was that one slide on third down. I was like, I really wish you'd try for the first down there, young man. But I get it. He is definitely banged up. We agree that he's banged up, right, Gene?
Yeah, I think he's hurt. I mean, some of that you can see because those are the early in the season he was he was doing against freaking Kent State. He was barreling into guys. So now when a game's on a line when you're not up 50 points, you're going to slide. Yeah, that's not right.
I'll give this Canes fan a read. This is actually kind of funny. FSU sued the ACCM, hasn't won a game since then. Hashtag the year, yada, yada. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
If we can't laugh at ourselves, who can we laugh at? Caleb James, again, anyone know what Narduzzi's buyout is? Anyone? Yeah. They found a way to lose to West Virginia, so they did some things that we've done this year and maybe worse. Equity Group, I pledge $1,000 to the GoFundMe. Thank you, Zion Equity Group. Ian, thank you for the contribution. If you had anything to say, we'll find that in another comment. Jeremy, I've been Mike Norvell's biggest supporter. See, this is what we've gotten a lot of today. This loss is the breaking point. Maybe he can get an SEC job since those are his only W's. Time to move on. That was so expertly pointed out by our own Jeff Cameron this week.
Yeah.
We'll win an SEC game, Gene, but these ACC ones, big time.
Can we only have an FCS and SEC schedule only? We'd be great.
Kendall with the Epcot logo. I love it. I think the last 2 weeks proved that the portal is unhelpful anymore. Every play made today was by recruits. Recruit. Still go Noles. Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate you. Antonio, it's time, Tom. The clock has run out. Fair enough. Never lose your nerd. Alabama game was a fluke, and this season is going to start looking like last year. Sorry, but Norvell needs to go after this. Virginia exposed this defense. All right, T-Smiles. Oh, it's been a minute, T-Smiles. All look afraid to take a hit or lay out to tackle. I would agree. A lot of tentative body language out there. Mac, we do less with more. Mike getting another shiner. Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate that. Optimus Climb. We are losing any luster we have left. FSU is losing way more than $50 million, keeping him employed. Jamie, Tommy hasn't played well since the ankle injury. Start playing young guys. Start looking for a new coach. Matty Diaz. Mike just doesn't understand how to win at this level. This is a Goliath, not a David. Playing like a David right now. Will, what is Brian Hartline up to next season? Thank you. That's two for Brian Hartline.
Brian Hartline, isn't he?
I think that Jeremiah Smith recruitment has everybody thinking maybe we should just get Brian Hartline. Climb is back. Optimus Climb. People keep saying Mike can't recruit offensive line, defensive line, or some say linebacker, quarterback. How about he just can't recruit? Full stop. And I never say full stop. Yeah, thank you, Optimus Climb. Gregory Campbell, tough loss, but I'm sure Coach Norvell will rally the troops and have the guys ready to play and win the next game. Just got a few ends to tie up.
Is he being sarcastic or
could be?
Gregory? All right. Well, the one positive, is that the first positive one we've seen?
I think even Angela and Yuckmouth would say that's pretty amazing. Before I read off the final 13, I do want to ask you, Gene, tomorrow folks can expect the PFF the grades won't look good, but the PFF snap count tracker and maybe some numbers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable things we get from PFF, and I'll have that in Tribal Council in the morning, is grades from PFF, which, take them or leave. Maybe sometimes they give a general idea. Sometimes I don't know what they're looking at, frankly. But yeah, it's very interesting to see snap counts, both offensively and defensively. And there's some other analytical stuff they give us. They usually give a breakdown of some of the, how many big time throws there are, how many broken tackles. Those kind of things are kind of interesting to see. So we'll give a full breakdown. That'll be probably about between 10 and 11, usually in the morning.
And also this evening, because it was a noon kick, you'll be getting the Warchant wrap right here on Warchant TV. Corey Clark's column, if you want to read his thoughts. If it's not live already, it'll be live soon. I imagine he had a lot of those thoughts penned before the final buzzer hit. And the Warchant wrap will be available, I'd imagine, maybe in a half an hour, 45 minutes, to get Ira and Corey's thoughts on Bobby Bowden's field after the game. I will be watching that. I'm wondering if they're drawing the same conclusions we are, Gene, because one of the great things we get is instant fan feedback. I wonder how they felt about the game from the press box. So be on the lookout for that. Optimus
Well,
is
they
back.
saw the fans leaving the game, so that ought to be something.
I would imagine. Optimus climb. They can't pass the ball whatsoever. Second half was an abomination. Tommy can take year 5 wherever his happiness wants to go and take Gus with him. Optimus is off the bus.
Ooh, he is not Optimus, that's for sure.
2 Live Hollywood. Can we just get a real coach this time? I'm talking about a big-time coach. We have been cheap on coaches, meaning name-wise. So 2 Live is all about that Nick Saban thing. Richard Mills. Tony White is awful. His defense is pitiable, uninspired, and lacking for the college level. Can't win, giving up 30 a game. I hear you on that, Richard. I am beginning to wonder what he's supposed to do.
We'll have to worry about him taking a job somewhere else unless he loses his job here. I mean, that was all the chatter after Alabama. He's gone after this year.
Well, can we also say, don't hop on a UCLA Zoom that has anything to do with football when you're hired somewhere else? Like, come on, Tony. I think he's a smart guy, but that was silly. Yeah. Marcus Mims, a new member. Well, thank you, Marcus Mims. We appreciate the joining the channel. Last year, this time, we were 1-6. Silver lining? Fair enough. So not only did we
might have a new coach. That might be the silver lining.
Thank you, Marcus. We really appreciate that. And that's a cool photo with the old logo there. Let's see. Richard says, question, since Norvell won't immediately be gone, what can FSU to spark immediate change? Could they promote a new play caller for defensive coordinator? Ouch. I don't know what they could do. Start Sperry?
That brought up earlier. There's not a whole lot. I do think at some point, if it continues to spiral down, you do put Sperry out there, but not for a few weeks. I mean, the next 2 games are going to be really key, Tom. If they lose either of the next 2, they've clearly quit. These are awful teams. Now, I think one thing, FSU has played some pretty good teams so far in the losses. I mean, not great team. Miami, we'll see. They could be a really good team. But the other 2 are decent teams you lost to. But now you're playing 2 legitimately bad teams. So this will be the test of how much they've kind of quit on this program.
Kiss OD, does this record now dictate give the freshman reps? That's what Gene was just talking about. We shall see. Thank you very much for the contribution. Noel Sage. Hey, Noel Sage, it's great to see you last week at Hotel Indigo. Bring Jimbo in, give him an associate head coach position, and make him our recruiting coordinator. I got no problem with Jimbo being involved in the recruiting game. He was very, very good at that. And they set up a battle.
The evaluation, yes, I trust them on that. Again, I think ultimately the bigger they needed more NIL infusion, but I think the biggest issue I have Mike Norvell and the staff is not necessarily the recruiting. If you go and I look at it, they've averaged right around 20 in recruiting. Their average 20 NIL, their average recruiting class is about 20. You realize there's not a single starter that went into this game that was a high school recruit on offense, and there were 4 on defense. But I mean, you've had the last 4 or 5 years, you've had 100 signees, high school signees. You have 4 that are starters. None of them are great. So that's a horrible hit rate. To me, it's an evaluation issue more than a recruiting issue. And it's developmental. Whether you call it evaluation or development, either way, that is on the coaching staff.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're right. Yeah, Jimbo, the evaluator, was a badass. Like he was down there in Miami to go see a different running back, and he saw Devontae Freeman was the first to offer him. There's like 10 stories like that, or moving positions, changing guys from one side of the ball to the other. Noel Sage, about to use my GI Bill to come to FSU, walk on, and play linebacker. Fair enough. Thanks for your service. Will, again, all everyone kept saying was we couldn't afford to fire Taggart, but we figured it out. We can't afford not to. That is the question, Will. We appreciate it. Michael says, is there any coach out there who is a realistic possible hire for Florida State who can recruit better than Jimbo?
Yeah, there probably are. Jimbo, we'll see.
Depends on the amount of money behind it.
Jimbo also, you got to remember, had his, and it was a smart move in the beginning. He hired all of the mercenaries, the recruiting. I mean, when you brought in the John Lilly, not the Lillies,
Eddie Grant, James Coley.
Coley was, and those kind of guys. These are guys that are recruiting. They had the huge recruiting pipelines going, especially in South Florida and all these areas. And I think that's part of what he did. Yes, Jimbo is very good, but Jimbo, I think the other guys would get the door open for him, and Jimbo was good and all the other stuff. But yeah, it's more than just Jimbo.
They divided and they conquered Miami. It was Coley and Eddie Grant. They each had a county, and they went to war. Mark Stoops had connections down there as well. What that group did as a recruiting group was unbelievable. Game like a Dillon. I've been a Norvell apologist for a while. That second half, fans in the stands were more apathetic than I've ever seen. Quiet with the game on the line. And that says it all. You got to have the crowd, just like Gladiator. You got to win the crowd, and he's lost the crowd. Dave, thank you for being a member of the channel. This football season is over. Can we talk about basketball season or baseball season now? Cal Raleigh for MVP. Go Noles.
Go.
Cal is still playing. That's pretty cool. And finally, Mark, thank you very much for your contribution. Was there anything in fine print on the contract which says that if you can't win an ACC game going over a year, there is no buyout to be paid? We'll scour for the details with
boy, that would be nice. You got a little loophole in there. Sorry, you lose 10 ACC games in a row, you're out, and they just throw the next game.
To which he and his agent say, sure, that would never happen, and then they sign the deal. Well, we've got a lot coming up for you on warchant.com. Not a whole lot positive, I'm sorry to say, but the coverage will be there, and we'll be interested to see where Florida State lands on this. From a recruiting standpoint, y'all are talking about that. Florida State is a good class right now. Will it hold together? Not so sure. And then coverage from the postgame, Mike Norvell interviews, player interviews, and the Warchant wrap available on Warchant TV. And then on the warchant.com side, Corey Clark's column, the 321 from IRIC in the coming days, Gene Williams' PFF report, and so much more. All available right now. Head over to warchant.com. And kibitz with your people in the Tribal Council. Join the largest FSU fan community in the business. Just $1 for your first week. It's probably going to be a busy 2 months here for a lot of reasons, Gene, and that's what we have to look forward to at this point.
I think that's, and I really putting a weird positive spin on this, but it will make the next couple of months. What happened today is going to make the next couple of months incredibly interesting and important for FSU's future, how the next couple of months play out, both on the field, off the field, the administration. I will say at Warchant, we've got you covered better than anybody else. We've got so much experience on the staff and connections that we will keep everybody dialed in, because I think that's it right now. The question is not so much about this season. Sure, it is. You want to see how many wins is FSU going to muster out this season, but I think the question is for the future, where is this program going? And we will be dialed in on that, and we will keep our subscribers and everybody on this channel informed. So stay tuned. Should be a fun ride the next couple months, or at least an interesting ride. Maybe not fun, but interesting.
It'll be a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We are all going on a ride. Maybe it'll be one we love. Maybe we'll be like our favorite aunt or uncle who's like, I can't believe I just got on this roller coaster. Get me off. And the roller coaster started. So we'll see what it is. Remember, next week, 10:30 start against Stanford. We will be here right at kickoff, or just before, maybe a couple minutes before kickoff.
Yeah.
We will fire up the
Maybe
stream.
a little mini preview.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Just a couple final thoughts before the moment begins.
That injury report. I know Ira gets that up. We get that up pretty quickly in the Tribal Council. We'll maybe go over any key injuries. Obviously important. You got a lot of receivers out. You got a couple offensive linemen. Let's see how they're healthy hopefully healthy for next weekend.
We want to thank everybody behind the scenes. Terry, screening the calls, is always doing a great job. Director Nick Carlisle handling a whole lot. And there's probably the last couple of shows we've done quite a bit of chat moderation that he's had to do, in addition to the work behind the scenes.
Yeah, those Miami fans are keeping you busy.
They are indeed, even this week, and I can understand why, because they don't ever play football. They just have a bye week always, unless they play.
First time been relevant in 25 years, and suddenly they have fans. Imagine that.
A parting shot. There we go. You got to always get those shots in. We want to thank Lucky Goat for sponsoring a segment of this program. TSpark Enterprises for always building this program from the ground up the last 2 years. They've been a phenomenal sponsor, and give them your service. Noel Sage sneaks in one before the buzzer. I'd rather send a 7 get burned. I'd rather us send 7. You get burned quick than let another team go 75 yards in 8 minutes. We'll watch that next week, because Stanford likes to run Service Academy length drives, 9-minute, 10-minute drives. So something to watch for next week. He's Gene Williams. My name is Tom Lang. As we exit, I'm going to dedicate this show to a member of my little crew that we lost this week, a little critter named April. It was a tough week in the Lang household. To all of you that sent little notes on X or reached out via email, I really appreciate that. It's been a rough week, and we wish the Noles would have won to make it just a little bit better. But for Gene, I'm Tom. We will talk to you all next time right here on Warchant TV, and good night, everybody.